Here we are with a hot lap of Miami, brought to you by Sim Racing Setups. Approaching turn 1 with the DRS wide open. We're going to be getting close to the wall, braking at the 100-meter board, getting our car nicely turned in, just mounting the curb a little bit, mounting the next curb of turn 2, and then avoiding turn 3's curb as we get towards a slight straight before approaching the S's. And coming up on the S's, we're not going to touch the brakes, just a slight lift, a little bit of a bigger lift using all of the curbs available because the track is flat. And then focusing on this exit. The exit is far more crucial than the entry as we're approaching a very long straight and the first DRS zone on the circuit. Approaching turn 9 and 10, which aren't really turns, we're going to keep it pinned full flat out as we are approaching the technical section of turn 11, 12 and 13. Approaching turn 11, want to brake again at the 100-meter board, get the car nicely turned in, just brisk off the curb, use as much of the track as possible, stay as close to that right-hand wall, transition into the left-hand side wall, back to the right, and then back to the left. Taking the Mickey Mouse section, nice and tight, get the car settled as we're approaching the next DRS section, and now using that good exit, we're going to have the foot to the floor, approaching the DRS zone, looking for that DRS line, waiting for the beat, DRS open, and now all attention focused on turn 17, which is a very tough braking zone. And here we are, turn 17, nice and early on the brakes, get the car turned, just brisk over the curb, nice and close to the right-hand wall as we get the exit, and then just as we are approaching that final little DRS section, get it open and across the line for a lap of Miami.
So last week proved to be an exciting affair, but what about this one? Whose Miami Vices are going to be on full display? Who is going to find themselves here in the panhandle of the United States of America as the very, very best when it comes to the Creator Series? We get set. We get stoked. Welcome to Miami and welcome to the EA Sports Creator Series with Sim Racing Setups. I'm Jake Sperry, not XQC alongside me, but Alex Heron, who is here along for the ride. And Alex, when it comes to this track, it is one of the newer circuits, but it does have sections that are brilliant, sections not so much, but it has great places to overtake. It is a little mix of everything around the Hard Rock Stadium here, home of the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, it certainly is, Jake, and it's a pleasure to be back on Creator Series, of course, sponsored by Sim Racing Setups. It is very much an exciting Grand Prix, and yes, it is all about the glitz and glamour in the States, but hopefully we can get some glitz and glamour on the racetrack. But in, obviously, the last Creator Series we had a double header around Austria, so let's go see what happened in that race and see where that has left us overall. And as you can see, the driver's standings, Alex Gillen still leads at the top of the driver's standings on 133 points, with Kareem 70 with 99 and GB68 on 82. The top three pretty much the same as we saw before, and a couple of changes around the grid. But is there any surprises that jump out at you there, Jake?
Well, Tiamat Marduk's down in 7th, which I think is a big shock to a number of people out there. He's fighting hard with Tom and with Gwatz out there looking for position. I would say that it's been up and down for Emphatic as well, which has been a little bit of a position. But I'd say a little bit of a shock in a good way. Rasin Chai's had a really good season so far, so I think that we've been seeing what he's done in the Alpine, and he is certainly going out there and proving that each and every time he goes in and he decides that he wants to race, he is doing a brilliant job of things out there. As far as constructors go, it's a bit of a carry job at the moment for McLaren as it stands, because Red Bull are clear at the moment and 4 points clear at that, but Alex Gillen, effectively doing his best Max Verstappen impersonation, is doing a very, very nice job at the moment to keep the McLaren team second.
Yeah, he certainly has 144 points there. Gillen's first 3 race wins were definitely a big factor in that point standings. But at Alpine, a massive jump up from where we saw them previously in the season. They were down in, I believe, 8th or 9th early on in this season, and a couple of good results strung together has brought them up into 3rd. And Aston Martin up in 4th as well. Williams now on the bottom of the standings as well. They need to try and get some points this afternoon. They don't want to end the season there. But yeah, Jake, I don't know what's going to happen in Miami. We've got a couple of people stopped out for reserve. One of them is our championship leader, Mr. Alex Gillen.
I believe, if the context of this I've got correct, I believe it's his wedding this weekend, which might be the reason why he's not here, because I know that Gareth's not here. our good producer friend here at the Creator Series. So I would presume that he has also gone over to deal with the festivities that will be going on. Of course, massive congratulations to Mr. and Mrs. Gillen by the time that we get to that. But at least for the moment, we are going to be sat down and saying, well, what more can you get out of this track, out of this circuit? And a real opportunity race this is going to be today now, Alex, for every driver in that championship to go, right, no Alex Gillen, he's not here. He's probably not going to be here this week. He's probably not going to be here next if he's got a honeymoon that's booked. So I would say this is the time while he's away. You know, I'm looking at drivers to go like GB68, for example, to go, right, we need 50 points.
Yeah, and that is exactly what they're going to be trying to do. But they have the Miami International Circuit to contend with. And as we mentioned, it is a circuit that can be very tricky. It's very decisive in terms of the circuit. Not everyone loves it and not everyone hates it. It's right down the middle. But you never know. In Miami, it's a very strange climate. Some rain could really spice up the racing here this afternoon. And I believe they might be getting into qualifying now. So shall we head over to the track? And we're going to be seeing what's going to go on.
Well, we will see how qualifying is going to put itself into play. We will know that they will have the 18 minutes to go and put their qualifying times down on the board to say they are quicker than anybody else. And I think this is going to be a really important qualifying session to see how this is all going to shake up, regardless of how they all go out and make things work. But I would say now, Alex, as far as we now sit and say this Miami circuit, there are great places to pass around this track. I look at turns 11 and 17 as the two brilliant places to pass, and you can get a run into turn 1 as well, which often is the place where you do have to just try and get it sold and sorted at that point. It's one of those newer style circuits that tries to offer a little bit of everything.
Yeah, it certainly does. I mean, turn 1 is a fantastic place to do. If you can get a good run off that final corner, you will absolutely fire it into that first corner. But it can be very tricky as well. I mean, usually in this sector, especially sector 1, 2 cars don't go into 1. So that'll be very interesting to see what happens. And, well, Jake, it looks like it's some rain falling here on the Miami International Circuit, which means, if I am not mistaken, there will not be an extra point for intermediate pole.
Well, they're all on intermediate, so ultimately we say, well, no, that's not fair because everyone's out there on the intermediates in these lightly wet conditions, so there's no point in going for it in the way that they're going about it. So that's what sets them up in terms of where they need to go here, but the 18 minutes to go, that's one less point in the back pocket for somebody to take away from Alex Gillen, so he'll have a little bit of a smile. But now it's about step up, stand up, and get yourself everything that is in play. So for the likes of Racing Chai, for example, trying to push and make a real good name, you are thinking about where are you going. Safsho jumping in then in place of Alex Gillen. We've got Ryan Littlemore there, Ryan L83, who's out there on circuit, as well as the likes then of M Sky Z, who will be looking to try and find form of a couple seasons ago. Karim 70 will also be looking at big opportunities, but we're focusing with Ryan Littlemore on his outlap, trying to get a sighter for an opening attack of racing action. Now slowing the car down, getting it into turn number 17 on track and running towards the stadium side. A big kicker tail to start the lap.
Certainly is down the main straight. Of course, no DRS opened under wet conditions, but into the first braking zone. It'll be a heavy and tight sector to get into the starting track, especially with these wet conditions. You can see Ryan sliding that RB around the first part of this circuit, normally flat in the dry, and right now it is still a little bit flat, but I wouldn't be doing it. As you can see, that's why you don't want to, because it's run off straight off in that first sector, and it's invalidated turn 5, I believe, and that's the end of Ryan's lap straight away. We didn't even get that far into it there, Jake.
No, burnt the lap immediately, so Safsho will have to pick up the slack then through 5 and into 6, 7 and 8, which is 3 corners, which should be 1 corner there as you take the run out of turn 8. It's very handy. It says 8 on the bridge to know that you've gone through turn 8, and he almost there tries to steal a little bit of slipstream off of Nick Flies as he goes by through turn 9 and 10, and now looking at the big braking zone at turn number 11. You've got to really jam on the brakes here. 90-degree left-hander, and then the switchback of turn number 12 here, trying to work your way around that section and into 13 once more, and this very tricky chicane. It's one line suits all through there, and if you get it even remotely wrong, it's corner cut central.
It certainly is. As our lovely man who did the voiceover for the Hot Lap, Scotty Design, said, it's a Mickey Mouse sector of the Miami GP, and down this very long back straight before the very good overtaking opportunity into turn 17, hard on the brakes before switching it to the left and then getting the power down gently and slowly for accelerating through turn 18 and the final corner of turn 19 before coming up to the line. And this is the lap they're all going to be chasing. It's a 1:38.5. Now, obviously, on the intermediate tyres and in these wet conditions, it is best to do lap after lap after lap because the track is only going to get better. I imagine they're fueled up for a couple of laps here, Jake.
I would imagine they'll be fueled up for quite a bit out there to try and sort themselves out. They've also got T. George 1570 in play as well, and there is Scott Taylor, who is looking to try and really work. Look at the way he turns into the corner. You can tell he's trying because his head is following where he goes out there. Big kicker tail as well going through, and as he looks over towards the line, sits up, breathes, realizes, oh, I'm 2.3 seconds off the pace. Racing shy, 37.4.
Very nice lap. Obviously, a good improvement there from Razin. Track is getting better, slowly but surely. There is a chance it could go dry before the end of this qualifying session, and there'll be a big rush for the softer tyre. But that is still a little bit away. We're still 12 minutes in this session. And here's a man who needs a good weekend. Theo McMurdoch, who, as we mentioned, is down in 7th place, yet to have a win this season. I don't know if he's even had a podium this year, Jake, as he comes across the line. 1:38.2 goes second fastest, but a long way off Razin Shai.
Yeah, Tim McMurdoch being 0.8 of a second adrift is going to be a very tough scenario for him to deal with. He knows how quick he needs to be, he knows how strong the results he wants are, but this has been a very tough run. He did podium at the season opener in Spain with a 2nd place finish, but it has been a litany of lower point score finishes and effectively non-finishes, which puts him down in that 7th place in the championship. It is a tough scenario. Chris, fastest out there, 1:37.3. And correct me if I'm wrong here now, Alex, I don't see the drops of rain anymore, which means that's a sighter for everyone, and this track might get dry.
Yeah, it looks like that rain has suddenly stopped here at the Miami International Circuit. They will be getting onto those dry tyres sooner rather than later. They'll be waiting for that DRS announcement, and they'll be getting started. This GB goes top of the timesheets, 1:37.2. The track is getting better and better, and they'll be wanting to get on those dry tyres as soon as physically possible. Obviously, if the rain is coming in the race, this will be a good sighter, as you mentioned, Jake, for our drivers to get used to the track. I think Kareem is on an absolute stonker of a lap, 1:36.4, and that, you can tell, is where the track is at the moment.
Woo! 0.8 clear of everyone else. That is a mega money lap, but I don't think it's going to hold if they get DRS open here in this qualifying session about halfway through. We've got 10 minutes 50 seconds to go of this 18-minute qualifying session, and there is Tukey, who is looking to try and make progress, subbing in for Tom, it looks like, in the Alpine here today. You've also, of course, got Devon Butler on an outlap right now. Adam Sanderson there in Fratic has yet to set a time, and Safsho deciding to lead the session probably through a disconnect of some kind. But for the moment, Tukey in a very nice position here to set a first time, really having to rag on the car going through turn 18. We're seeing a lot of that, and that's second fastest, 36.6.
Yeah, and I think there's a proper dry line starting to appear here at the circuit. These intermediate tyres will be starting to overheat, so they're probably going to want to get the dries on sooner rather than later. I think there's certain wet patches around the circuit, but I'm definitely not seeing enough to warrant the intermediate tyre anymore. I mean, oh my goodness me, look how much those rears are overheating. They're just going through that first sector.
Yeah, they just absolutely start melting at this moment in time. And so on the intermediates, they are waiting for that crossover. And if it is late as far as a crossover goes, then that's going to be difficult. And of course, with sim racing setups and F125, you can get pro setups. You can access the same pro car setups being driven in this race. So head yourself over to sim racing setups to go and put things together. Big T-Mac to the top for Williams, a 36.136, so still improving on those times. They've got to be close enough to a crossover at some point here, Alex, but as they're looking around, we've now got half a field on inters and half a field on slicks.
A lot of those drivers on those slicks are in the pits. They'll be waiting for their engineers to tell them it is good to go, or using their eyes. Either one will be useful in the end. But yeah, big T-Mac, good lap there from the Williams driver. And Ricky, I believe, maybe one of the first to try it on the dry tyre. He's in the Williams car. Now, Williams, as we've already mentioned, need a good weekend. And there is DRS open. That is time for dries. Could Williams, you know, even for a moment, be 1 and 2 in qualifying? That could be quite a magical moment indeed.
Well, Ricky 03 is certainly trying it, and he had a wonderful Williams X-Creator Series LAN event there, that hybrid LAN that was on with us here a couple of weeks ago. He was absolutely magnificent when it came to racing there on the reverse, so he'll be trying to hope that he can improve to at least a 36.3 to get the 1-2, but of course he'd love to be the one of that 1-2 as he is currently on his outlap, as well as Safsho on an outlap on intermediates. He'll probably have to jump back into the pits pretty quickly after all of that to pull himself back into play once again. So this is a case of not just when you go out, but where you go out, and this track will only improve as it goes. So the more cars that run on it, the more it's going to find that operating window of a track life to give the best times possible.
Yeah, exactly. They do not want to be waiting too long, but they don't want to be waiting too little either, because the track is only going to get better and better. As here is our first dry lap here at the Miami circuit. I was going to say the Inter-Miami circuit. It's definitely not that. The Miami International Circuit. As we go into turn 1 here, Ricky, maybe taking it a little bit gentle, because obviously it's still a little bit of a green track here, but you can see how much better he went through that first sector there in the Williams, as we saw one of them go off in that first sector. He does have a Red Bull in front of him, but luckily moves out of the way. But look how smooth he's being through that first sector. You can tell the track is basically dry now. It's completely bone dry, and these dry tyres are the best to be on. We can see the first sector time. How much is he up by? He's up by 4.5 seconds here.
Yeah, it dries very quickly here in Miami, of course. It's very, very hot here, and so you get that emphatic on an intermediate, 132.9. That is light years quicker than what was being done earlier on, and so for the moment, emphatic can say fastest out there in the Ferrari. Ricky 03 looking to get a good middle sector down on the board, but really attacks the curb, I'd say a bit too much through that section. Because it's uphill on the approach, it's so easy to understeer out there, and of course it can't be the Inter-Miami Stadium. They play at Chase Stadium in Fort Lauderdale rather than in Miami itself. But now as he has to drive through a litany of drivers on their outlaps here, he's got to hope that he's not balked in any way, shape or form. Out of 17 and trying to get the power down through 18 and 19, much more planted now that he's not dealing with water underfoot. Over the line, 29.4, Ricky 03 sets the new pace.
He certainly does. That will keep him top of the timesheet, but I don't think it'll be for very long, because I have a feeling there is a lot of drivers on quick soft laps. And here's one of them, Scott Taylor, a man driving in that Sauber and goes top of the timesheets, 1:28.8. We obviously saw a Sauber on the podium in real life last weekend. Maybe we'll see one this weekend as well. Wouldn't it be nice to see Scott Taylor on the podium here?
It would be lovely to see Scott Taylor finding the podium at this moment in time, but for at least right now, I would say, what more can you do to jump on up, gain more time, gain more places, because the quick drivers are going to start making moves like GB, like Racing Shy. I know that you're going to be sitting around. And then GB just proves my point. 126.6. That's a full 2 seconds clear of what we've seen. Scotty goes second, 27.3. 27 flat from Tiamat Marduk now. Puts him up to second.
Oh, what a lap from M Sky. Faster than GB by 0.3 of a second. I was just about to mention, as Chris goes second fastest, that Tiamat Marduk is almost half a second down on GB. That's not the... and Adam Sanderson has gone faster than Tiamat Marduk.
Miracles have happened here, ladies and gentlemen. Adam Sanderson is quicker than Tiamat Marduk. Now, that tells you all you need to know at the moment, because Kareem puts a 26 flat down and puts that Oracle Red Bull racing car onto pole position provisionally at the moment, with 4 minutes and 7 seconds remaining in qualifying. M Sky Z in second, Chris in third, and GB 68 into 4th position. George 1570 is the only one. T George, no lap, but will there be one now? Crosses the line, 6th place, 26.7. Take that.
A very nice lap indeed from the Hatsman. Of course, a home race for the US-based team here in Miami. One of 3 in the actual Formula 1 calendar. It's Big T-Mac. He's back on pole position. Has someone given the Williams drivers a boost here this afternoon? He's on pole by 1/10 of a second.
Do they sell chocolate boost bars here in Miami? That's the question here. He's got a boost and then some, is Big T-Mac, and he is proving that he is big in terms of lap time at the moment in the changing conditions. He will be smiling at the fact that he has got the quickest lap time at the moment, but this might just be a race not just of how everyone is out there putting laps on, but who is last over the line when the session expires and they have themselves just that final lap to put all the times together. This is a really enthralling qualifying session where you've got drivers so incredibly out of position, hoping they can find times that work. So a very tough, tall order right now, and you're looking around and thinking, well, who is going to stand up and be counted?
Yeah, it is going to be that last person that crosses the line who I think will take pole position this afternoon. I believe Big T-Mac and the Haas of George are not going to make it back in the pits in time to do another lap. So hopefully, for their sake, they're fueled for another lap, but their tyres are going to be in dire straits. As we see Mike Stachio down in 20th place, but he's not done a representative lap time on the dry tyre. He's currently on a 1:40.0. I have a feeling he's going to improve quite considerably here on this lap.
I'm sure that when Mike Stachio gets into trouble somewhere, he'll be called Michael Stachio. But for now, Mike Stachio now brings himself through the chicane here at the 14 and 15. Now drives for turn 16 underneath the turnpike and back along here, this long back stretch, to try and really house what is some amazing driving that we've seen here in qualifying. Everybody trying to get themselves out now at the latest available opportunity to say we can throw one more lap at the books. But Mike Stachio will now make a run with 1.5 minutes left to go, crossing for the line, and it will be P13 on a 28.7. I'd say not quite what was needed. Big T-Mac can't get out for another lap, so he has to make his bed and lie in it.
That's it. He's not only retired, but he's also left the session, interestingly there. I feel like that's not on purpose. Scott Taylor, the man in 14th place, and the man who we've seen improve dramatically in this year in the Creator Series. It's not always led to results, but he's certainly picked up the pace. And where can he put this kick Sauber here this afternoon? Can he channel that Nico Hulkenberg energy that we know Scott Taylor has inside of him?
Well, if he can find a way to put a Sauber on the podium, he is going to be a very, very happy man as he walks through this final lap attempt that he will have. Running now through turns 9 and now into turn 10, hoping that the drive here with the DRS at full bore open right now will give all of that pace and speed that is needed, dancing about into 11 and 12 and trying to get as much as possible. Yellow's out in sector 2 because Everybody is trying to give themselves some space, but those at the back are going to be at risk of not getting a time in. I'm looking around at Rasin Chai, I'm looking at GB and Gwatz and Karim. They might be in trouble. 10 seconds for Karim. He's got to absolutely motor here to get to the line. 5 seconds, 4 seconds. This is going to be close. He comes to the line. He'll get there with a second. Gwatz is going to be timed out and not going to get his lap time in. So that's a huge blunder by Gwatz, who's in 6th position at the moment. Mike Stachio as well. Couldn't get around for one more lap, so he's stuck. Here comes Scott Taylor heading towards the line, and he goes 6th on a 126.621. He ties GB68's lap time at this stage, but there's more to be had because you got Tukey, who's down there on a 36.6, nothing representative. We'll see with one lap, one opportunity. Will he find his 8 mile here down in Florida? Now as he looks to charge over towards the line, Tukey, who is subbing in for Tom, comes to the line. Oh, he goes 3rd with a 26.1. Magical. Now Tiamat Marduk tries to go in. Fratic goes 4th. Tiamat Marduk goes 3rd now. 26 flat from him in the Mercedes to go and put that down. Wonderfully constructed then as the likes of Ricky 03, Scotty Designs, they're not going to do anything. What about M Sky Z? What about M Sky Z? Staff Show goes 8. M Sky Z with a 25.9. Oh, brilliant. 14 thousandths of a second to the good, but they are going to all have to wait now for Karim to come to the line. He's the last one there. Rasin Chai, 25.7. How about that? But here comes Karim heading for the line. Oh, he steals it at the death. It's 125.763. He absolutely stole it.
By 1/1000th of a second. 25.763 for Karim. 25.794 for Rasin Chai. That was very, very close indeed. But yeah, what a front row that is. But also, what a second row that is. M Sky and Big T-Mac in 4th and 3rd respectively. My goodness me.
300th of a second. Karim needed to dig deep in that final sector to put himself on pole, and he managed it there. Rasin Chai in 2nd, and M Sky Z make your top 3. Tiamat Marduk in 6th, GB68 down in 10th. For this one is a big shock out there in terms of a main championship contender needing to find points. Well, Alex, that is what we call a very important qualifying session, and the race, in terms of wildcards, we don't have one. It's straight up.
We straight up don't know what's going to happen as well. We don't have any wildcards, but this is going to be a mental race. That second row, I mean, obviously the front row, Rasin and Karim is a fantastic front row, but the second row is so intriguing because those two are probably dreaming that they're that high up. I don't think if anyone had said at the start of the race that those two would be 2nd and 3rd and 4th, I don't think anyone would have believed you.
No, I don't think anyone would have either, and I think that goes to show you how topsy-turvy sometimes qualifying can be. If you can translate that into the race, it is a huge point of contention that you've got to go and gain a little bit more out there. So when it comes to this race, and as they say it, it's going to be a bit wet again, and now you're going to start throwing a spanner in the works. Who's going to be able to get what? More rain scheduled, and it will mean that it will be a case of who can stay on the island, let alone who can go and get there first.
That is going to spice it up entirely. We know rain can spice up any Grand Prix, no matter where we are in the world, and we're going to see how this one goes here this afternoon. I believe this is only light rain. We're not going to see the full wet tyre. Of course, it's a Formula 1 tradition that you don't see the full wet tyre when it's raining. We will have the intermediate tyres, though. But yeah, I'm interested to see what these guys can do. Obviously, drivers do prefer the rain. Some prefer it to be dry. And I wonder what setups people are running as well. Of course, they're probably running a lot of sim racing setups. But do they have wet setups on? Or have they gone for a dry? Or have they gone somewhere in the middle? It could really affect this Grand Prix. And I'm going to be thoroughly entertained, and we're going to have to try and keep our eyes on this like a hawk, Jake.
I think we really will, and it's going to be a very, very tough scenario to work out who is where, who is managing what, who's been able to get what out of a session like this, and knowing that this race is going to be one of the toughest ones to go and win. Everyone's set though and ready as we get the formation lap then into perspective right now, and those intermediate tyres everywhere. Everyone is trying to sort themselves out. Safsho, in full Safsho tradition, has immediately disqualified himself, and look at that, we're going to go bowling at turn 1.
Well, let's hope we don't go bowling in the actual Grand Prix here, folks, as Tim Marduk does not get any heat in his tyres. Neither does Scotty Design, Scott Taylor, GB or Safto, as they are 9th, 10th, 11th, 16th and 6th. But Kareem did get a nice pull away at the start. But yeah, this is going to be an intriguing race, because I think there's some people up there that you wouldn't normally expect. And for Williams here, Jake, having a driver in 4th place, this could be big points to get you off the bottom of those constructors' standings.
When you're 25 points adrift and you're looking around here at how the points go, 25 points for a win, 20 for second, 18 for third here in the Creator Series, you are thinking, how many points can I grab to jump on up? With no Punju here today, hasn't run since round 4, or since round 3 of the championship. Ricky 03 needs needs, of course, not Ryan Littlemore, who's out there in the Racing Bull, but more rather needs Big T-Mac to step up to the plate and say, this is what we're capable for. No Meraki in 5th position, no Alex Gillen who's out there, no Formula Kai either, and no Tom. But right now, I'm looking at Karim, I'm looking at GB68, I'm looking at Rasin Chai, and they're going to have to contend with a couple of drivers who maybe, as far as pace goes, are going to be a little bit out of the woodwork here. Keep an eye out on the likes of Tukey, of Infratic, of Chris, because they're going to want to really make something happen, especially Chris, who we're getting word got balked on his last qualifying lap. He's going to be driving around pretty much incensed.
Yeah, he certainly will. And I think this is the day where you're obviously missing a lot of drivers that you would normally consider being at the top of those standings, top of those positions. We could have a real surprise on our hands this afternoon. I don't know who it could be, but I think we're going to find out. As I think Kareem managed to try and put his car at a certain angle and has messed up entirely, and it's reset him back. But, Jake, I will let you take us away as we are getting ready for lights out here at Miami.
So Karim overcooks his box, and because of that, he now has to put himself dead pancake level out there on his grid stall. So you always have to get yourself in within the lines, and as everybody sets, now they look for it. Here in Miami, who is going to survive 57 laps? Karim on the front with Rasin Chai along with him, and the lights go out and we are underway, and it's not a great start there by Rasin Chai as M-Sky Z will now think about the outside as Big T-Mac lunges down the inside looking to try and get that move. M-Sky Z is going to have to hold around the outside, turn inside, turn outside, and Rasin Chai holds there in 2nd position. Troubles for Tukey as he starts falling down the order now, down to 11th position he goes, and George 1570 as well with a couple of issues out there. Good start overall despite all of that, but they have been scrambling about. There is GB trying to battle with Gwat, trying to get it sorted. Now it's 3 wide because down the inside Tukey is trying to get back, and I tell you what, he's trying so hard here against Gwat to try and make this work.
He certainly is, properly getting their elbows out at the start, but it's very clean from all of our drivers here at the start of the races. Here comes Tim Marduk, a race that he needs to have a big result here. He's going to make it 3 wide now down the inside, as he's going to get 2 cars in one, as we see M-Sky and Big Mac run off the road. But Tim Marduk is into 3rd place here as the rest of the field begins squabbling here in the background. Oh my goodness me, as they come to blows, but luckily both of them keep it in the right direction.
Infratic has to take the bollard out. Virtual safety car is called for the bollard.
Yeah, I think that is a safe bet. Everyone could slow themselves down and get themselves back in the frame of mind of Grand Prix racing. But yeah, absolute chaos here at the start. But they're all facing the right direction still, Jake. And for Tim Marduk, he's up in 3rd place. Great start for him.
Yeah, impressive start out there. And really, I would say that it's been one of those where you sit down and go, where are you able to pick your games? Karim's going to be a little bit upset that he's not able to do too much out there because it's desperate to try and get the heat in the tyres. A virtual safety car like this and all the heat goes away. Now, who's thinking of a cheap pit stop out there? The answer to that is nobody. Oh, a huge lock up there by Rasin Chai. They're losing up the risk, speeding under the VSC. M-Sky Z has got a drive through.
Oh, and that's big disappointment for the Aston Martin driver, who was having such a good start here. Of course, having a world-class qualifying and then get himself a drive-through penalty under safety car. Don't know how much he'll fight this against Big T-Mac, but he's not going to want to lose too many positions because he knows he's going to take that drive-through within 3 laps of receiving it, and he can't take it under a virtual safety car or a full safety car. So he's going to lose roughly about 20 seconds of race time, and that's going to be a big blow for the Aston Martin driver.
When it rains, it pours for M-Sky Z, who never seems to get luck out there overall. Emphatic now looking to angle here as we are back on green flag, running here on lap 2 after the virtual safety car, trying to work out a way to get by Chris for position. This would be for 7th, and on the brakes, try and get it slowed up and woed up and just about managing it, holding the outside. Goes Chris, and he will keep himself in position then, going through 13 up into 14 and 15. Saf Show down the inside of Tukey right now, who is not effectively a Timu Tom at the moment. He's proving to try and say he's got a lot of worth out there, and for the moment it's on. Race lead, Rasin Chai looking right now at the inside of turn 17 to get it done. On the brakes, can he force out Karim holding the outside line? They're going to have to fight through 18 and 19 to get it sorted. Slide from Karim, move for Rasin Chai.
Lovely move there. Razin takes the lead. I was just looking at the expected strategies there as Ben sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. It said a no-stop strategy. You could be on these intermediates for 57 laps. I doubt that very much, but we'll find out. I imagine this rain might go away at some point during this Grand Prix. But yeah, somehow thinking they can go 57 laps. Obviously, in the dirty air, these tyres are going to chew themselves up, especially with the amount of sliding I'm seeing them do.
Yeah, they're really being aggressive here on the intermediate tyres, so I think going the entire way is not plausible for these drivers. I think they'll be aggressive on a one-stop, but they'll try and hold it out for any rain that stops out there, for example. I think that's what they're trying to think about here at the moment, as they all look and go, right, what more can we do? Tukey, disconnect. Oh, that's going to hurt.
Yeah, it was already hurting enough for Tukey, but a disconnect is really going to throw him out of rhythm. He's already lost a place to Sasso in a sector you don't normally see overtakes, but obviously in the rain, it can really change up the appearance. And there goes Scott Taylor down the inside. He started 12th, he's back into 12th place ahead of Ricky 03. With his teammate right now up in 5th place, Big T-Mac is running a cracking race. He's got his lines. As Ryan, I think, had a little bit of an issue there, and you can see he's facing the wrong direction. I'm going to imagine lock up on the rear tyres and has just spun himself round, but he's got himself going again.
He's gone completely straight on, and this is a driver who is saying that he might be a little bit washed compared to what he used to be 6, 7, 8 years ago, where he was part of the Radicals Online sim racing team in iRacing. He was someone who was definitely making a lot of progress and could have been rapid in terms of his sim racing career, but now he finds himself at the back here of the Creator Series. Rasin Chai with the fastest lap of the race, a 140.7. Try and pick a pocket, why don't you? Nick Fly's trying to find a way by Ricky 03 and not able to manage that then through 17 and to 18 and 19. So it's definitely a case of where you search for that time. It's 3 clear at the front, and then M-Sky Z holding legitimately everybody else up behind.
Yeah, he certainly has. GB has got past Big T-Mac there for 5th place. Now, M-Sky Z, I believe, has to serve his penalty this lap, or he will be disqualified from the Grand Prix. So he shouldn't hold up his teammate GB for very long, but it won't matter anyway because they are going to go into pits this lap. The rain, if I'm not mistaken here, Jake, has either slowed down or stopped entirely.
I don't see rain. I don't think anyone else does. I think we're in for a dry strategy call, which will be coming into play in about 10 minutes time or so, which would indicate as there goes the move, teammate on teammate then, as M-Sky Z makes it easy for GB68 to jump on through. I'd suggest that in the next 5 to 10 minutes, we'll be looking at drivers moving on to a hard compound tyre or even a medium compound tyre to get long into the next phase of the race.
Yeah, they're going to be difficult to warm up, but if you can get a tyre warmed up, a dry tyre warmed up, you can be 5-10 seconds faster than a car on an old set of intermediate tyres. And the amount of sliding I've seen these cars do, I think we're already almost there for the dry running. They're just going to have to take that risk. Whoever does is going to gain a lot of positions. But of course, if you go too early here, Jake, it could really cost you. But Razin is pumping in fastest lap after fastest lap. And MSkyV is in the pits, but it's going to be bigger disaster for him because he's got to serve this drive-through penalty, and then he'll likely have to pit again for dry tyres. It couldn't be worse timing for MSkyV.
Well, he's going to be followed in by Scott Taylor and Nick Flies, who suggest that they want dry tyres now. And also in will come Scotty Designs, by the way, and Ryan L83. Hard tyres on for Nick Flies. That's going to be a big, big decision. Hards for Scott Taylor, mediums for Scotty Designs. So he's going to go a different way with it. And hard tyres on for Ryan Littlemore. Cars at the back are going to guinea pig.
I mean, have you got anything to lose being at the back of the grid? But those hards are going to be near impossible to warp. But DRS is enabled, Jake. That means it's time for dries. That is the indicator for all F1 drivers that this is not the tyre to be on anymore. I think we're going to see a plethora of pit stops here. But is there going to be anyone caught out by a double stack? Probably. By the looks of it, the Williams drivers are quite close to each other. They're going to be in big trouble, and maybe even the Red Bull drivers.
Yeah, Gwatz is a bit close right now, but I think he might get okay with Karim 70. It will depend, though, on whether Karim's got a good pit box or not. If he's early, then there'll be a lot of drivers you go through, and if he can't get out, then Gwatz, it might be in a position where they go. It depends on how much gap you've got out there, as Rasin Chai surely is going to dive off to the right and just dive into the pit. Yes, here comes the chance then for those. They go in 1, 2, speeding Rasin! No, not like that. That is exactly what he didn't want to do from the race lead.
That's such a mistake from Razin Shai. It's not a good pit lane here. It's a really tricky one to slow down, especially if you've got a car like Karim chasing you in the background. But that is not what Razin Shai wanted, and that's going to cost him big here in this Grand Prix. And now he's got 10 seconds, and Mike Stachio gets one as well. It's slightly worse. It's slightly worse for Razin because he's the race leader, and he's got a man like Karim behind him. But mediums for Karim and Razin. Timo Marduk and GB onto the hard. Adam Sanderson has got onto the softs, and we've got a mixture of mediums through the rest of the field. Scotty Designs, by the way, has made it up to P11. He's undercut, well, almost half the grid here with his early pit stop.
Very clever call by Scotty Designs, and he will be very proud of the decision that he made to go a lap earlier than everybody else. But Adam Sanderson on a soft tyre, what's the strategy thinking behind that? Because that will burn very quickly. Probably will get him to about lap 15, I would have thought, somewhere between lap 15 and lap 20, and then what? Hard tyre for 37 laps?
Well, he's committed himself to the two-stop by doing that strategy. I mean, the softs are not a good race tyre this year. I mean, tyres get eaten up very quickly. He does have a car in front of him, so he's going to get dirty air as well as Seth, so instantly gets past Scotty. I mean, has not gone well for Scotty Designs, by the way, and he's moved himself back up into P12. Well, Tukey is back in. He'll be pleased to know that his car is currently in P9, so he's still in the points. If he can get control of that car, he's in a good position, actually. As we're going to see Chris get past Infratic there and move himself up into P5. Now, is there any big losers from that pit stop? Not really. GB's gained a lot of positions. I guess the biggest loser is Razin with that 10-second time penalty.
I think the biggest loser is MSkyZ with the drive-through penalty, if I'm quite honest, who's down in 17th position and now has a lot of work to try and get back into play. So at least right now, Rasin Chai with 10 seconds to try and overhaul. That means he's got to beat Karim 70 by 10 seconds. Scotty Designs, by the way, has got the fastest lap, but stolen away by Nick Flies on a 131.6 on the hard compound tyres. Chris, who is there in 5th position, has got away from Infratic now and is looking to try and build a gap, and an important gap at that as well. The top two now 5 seconds almost clear of Tiamat Marduk in 3rd. It is a lonely place to be right now for the Mercedes driver. Rasin Chai knows that he's just got to try and keep Karim ahead, and Karim will be looking at this going, oh, where are we? Mid-July, boiling heat, Christmas.
Absolutely, and he's looking beautiful right there in that second place. He knows that 10-second time penalty will come back to bite Razin. Razin will need a safety car to clear that from his name. But yeah, Tiamat Marduk, 4.8 seconds off the front too. I mean, it is not looking good for the Mercedes once again. As you can see, GB is closing in, and Ben is losing time over fist at the moment. As here comes Karim. No, he does not go for the move. Does fake it, though. Almost goes into the back of Razin Shai there. But yeah, what is going on with Tiamat Malik, Jake? Can you explain it here? Because maybe for the audience that has only joined us briefly, as we're going to see Karim get into that first position into turn 1 as he makes it down the inside. Oh, very late on the brakes there, but he does make the move and he's up into P1.
No, he's
but
not.
can Razin find him back? Razin gets back in front of him, little bit of up on under, and moves himself back into the lead. But yeah, Jake, what is going on with Tiamat Malik? Because for our casual viewers, they'd be like, well, he's normally quite up at the top, isn't he? But 5 seconds off the lead doesn't seem like him.
Well, he's 5 seconds off the pace, and he's currently in a position, as we watch Adam Sanderson and Tukey battle it out right now at this position. I'm going to call it now, he's washed.
Well, I think that might be the easiest answer we've had this afternoon, as Karim is closing in once again on Razin Shai with that DRS advantage, but not really closing in enough to make the overtake. Is that maybe a lack of DRS use, or does he not want to make that overtake just yet?
Well, if he doesn't want to make the overtake, and he thinks that Razin Shai is going to be building a momentum and a gap if you don't overtake, then you might as well use it. They're building a margin to those behind. The worry's not going to be Tiamat Malik, but GB68 when he gets within a second and a half of the drivers in front. I would say that's the bigger concern, and it's the championship concern that comes into play. Now he will pick up the run on Razin Shai. Now he'll dive down the inside at 17. Wait for the better place to make that move. But Razin here's not giving this one up. Trying to hold around the outside, pins the throttle down, and now it's going to be a case on who's got what as they go to turn 1. Razin here on the brakes. Can he get it done on the inside? And now he'll have to try and do this again around the outside. No, door gets slammed. Karim learnt his lesson and has the lead.
A beautiful move there from Karim. It almost cost him big there, because he could have taken off Razin's front wing, but Razin knew when that position was lost. But beautiful battling from the front too. I mean, without that 10-second time penalty, this would be a class fight for the lead. But I'm imagining it's not there, and we have got one hell of a gladiator battle in front of us. As GB is now within a second of Tiamat Malik, which means DRS will be enabled for the Aston Martin driver. Now, I've got to question here, as Razin gets back in front of Karim there down the inside, or does he? Can Karim keep it round the outside? No, Razin is now back in front. But do you think Ben maybe running a wet setup?
Definitely possible out there that he's gambled on a setup that doesn't quite work, as GB68's now pulled within a second of him. I think this is a tough scenario out there to go and deal with, and of course also as you get older you lose the reaction time going through the corner, so it does get tougher as you get older, and that's why you sort of start looking around and going, yeah, I have maybe missed a step here, the to or fro. Karim again throwing down the inside, trying to say, come on, you're 10 seconds worth of penalty, what's the point in fighting me? This is brilliant stuff between these drivers, and you feel now that every time they battle for that line, they are trying to get as much drive as possible. Oh, huge movement. What a wiggle through the opening corner. A catch from the heavens from Karim, 70. And I think he's lost about 69 of his lives.
Yeah, he certainly has. That was a massive slide in the first corner, but he held it beautifully. I mean, you'd imagine it was still wet by the amount his car moved under braking there. Safso is making moves there up into P10. And McLaren is firing through the grid at the moment. With Nick Fly down in 17th, and obviously with both Rebel actually in the top 10, I believe. Yeah, Watson and Karim, sorry. They're going to need some points for that Constructors' Championship. But here comes GB, and is it going to be 1, 2, and done for GB? He's going to go around the outside of Tiamat Malik. There is no defence by the Mercedes driver. That looked like taking candy from a baby, as GB is up into 3rd place. And it might get worse for Tiamat Malik before it gets better, because Chris, Infratic, and Big T-Mac are closing in rapidly as well.
Yeah, so when it rains, it pours, and if you can't keep the pace up, you'll find yourself back into the window with those who are around. GB up to 3rd and really proving well, and look at what he's done sector-wise in Sector 2. That's his fastest Sector 2 that he's done out there. Tiamat Malik will try and find a way to throw this one back down the inside, but has to lift out a bit here going into turn 17, because it is clear that GB had that covered each and every every single way with the energy recovery system deployment as he went on through. So 5 seconds is that margin right now, and suddenly GB has been given license to chase down the leaders, and that would be scary. His teammate, by the way, MSkyZ, trying to run through the pack right now. He's past T-George 1570. He's got Ricky 03, Scotty Designs, Adam Sanderson. They're all there, and he'll think, right, 1, 2, 3, how do I line them up?
Well, he's hopefully going to pass the 1, 2, and 3. He's got immense pace this afternoon. Without that 10-second, without that drive-through penalty, he'll be right up at the front. But he's now got a little bit of recovery drive on his hands. But I reckon he's still got points in his locker here this afternoon. Now, for our race leader and for the man chasing them down, Karim and, of course, GB, which is now at 4.9 seconds off the race lead. They are, of course, GB and Ben, on hard tyres. Now, the front two are on the mediums, and we are expecting another set of pit stops here. But for the hard runners, are we expecting another pit stop?
Yes, I think we will, because I don't think they got it too early. You're going to have to start nursing, and that may be another thing that TM Marduk will be looking at, nursing the tyres, Hun. Nursing them to the end of this race, not taking too much out of them early to give himself a platform later to continue on. Remember, they've got to build a full pit stop to go and get by. So this is about who's thought on the fly on what the best strategy is going to be. MSkyZ continues to watch here, stuck in a DRS train at the moment. That rear wing flap that adds an extra 100 brake horsepower to you along this stretch. And now, oh, Big Send, oh, can you keep it out of trouble? There, Ricky 03 going for the hero move.
That was definitely late on the brakes. I think it almost caught Scott Designs napping, to be fair. But I think Ricky is getting very frustrated being caught up behind the back of this Haas car with a charging MSkyZ in the background. He does not want that Aston Martin overtaking him, and he definitely wants to be keeping in front of the Aston Martin here this afternoon. We're only on lap 12 for 57. We've had so much drama in these opening laps here, Jake, and we've still got so much more to come here, as I believe there is a, well, there's definitely a lot of action to happen. I don't believe it. I know there's going to be a lot of action. As here comes Ricky again, tries to go down the inside. He's got a good run here on Scotty Designs. He closes the door rather aggressively here. The Haas man will need all his pace, all his straight line speed with DRS opened. It could be a 3-wide moment here, as here comes the Aston Martin driver. He's going to go for it. Oh, a little bit moving there down the back straight, but it won't matter for him. Who sends it around the outside, who's still got it down the inside, but he's run out of room here, as now Adam Sanderson trying to make the move. It's proper wheel-to-wheel battling in a sector you don't go wheel-to-wheel in.
No, and Adam Sanderson on those soft tyres, I think they've been churned up already after just 6 laps on them. And so now he's finding dramas with Ricky 03, who's living anything but La Vida Loca at the moment here in this race. He will try and fight back. Scotty Designs has got nothing in a straight line. There goes the move by Adam Sanderson, straight back. And Ricky's going to lose out here because there is MSkyZ, who decides that's mine, but it's not his yet. He's going to have to try and push him out there at 18, manages it and says, you know what, it's time for you to continue on. Scotty Designs thinking about a way back, not happening. Scott Taylor in after just 7 laps.
7 laps from Scott Taylor on those hard tyres. That is shocking. What tyre is he going on? Is he having a front wing change? We're going to have a quick check with his pit crew here. I think that's a front wing ready there for him. Yeah, front wing change there from Scott Taylor. We're not sure what's happened. Unfortunately, we do not have access to the clip book here this afternoon. But I can tell you that has not gone well for Scott Taylor, as he's on the medium tyre now. He's going to need a safety car to get himself back into this Grand Prix.
Opposite of nice would be the way to describe that for Scott Taylor. It's a very, very tough race for him right now. Rasin Chai just able to defend there on that lap we saw on the timing tower ahead of Karim 70. And Karim is in an interesting position because GB68 has pulled a second back on them. The more he fights, the more that Rasin Chai will see that both Karim and GB68 close in. But it's in the benefit of Karim 70 right now to not make the move.
Yeah, he needs to stick behind him, not burning his tyres out, though. That dirty air is intense in this year's game. It really is. As someone who's driven a lot of this game, I mean, Jake, you watched that Williams LAN event. You saw how difficult it was to follow certain cars, and you've commentated enough races to know that this year, dirty air is a real problem. Down the inside goes MSkyZ, a very late move on Mr. Adam Sanderson. And trust me, I've seen what happens when you get on the bad side of Adam Sanderson. You do not want to cause himself a collision, but it's some good racing that he respects but the Aston Martin can't make the move just yet.
Elbows out from Adam Sanderson. It's the only trick in the book he's got left. Make the car as wide as possible, and if needed, get the Boudicca's out to try and make sure that there is no way to go on through. Back for the front though, Karim 70 is done waiting with Rasin Chai, moves back forward and takes the place and leads once more, knowing they've got about 4 seconds here to GB68, who will be trying to motor on the hard tyres. The fact he's catching on the hards is going to be alarm bells ringing for the front of this field on lap 14 of 57, but now it's defensive back again because Rasin Chai is going to get the DRS here, and he goes flying by to try and make that happen, and they are not making bones about it. They are not sitting and waiting. Tim Marduk, by the way, doing a really great job to hold to GB at 0.8 of a second.
Yeah, he's certainly keeping up his end of the bargain. He needs to keep with GB if he wants any chance of being in this position to fight for a race win, let alone a podium here this afternoon. As we've still got this Adam Sanderson, train that is created. The Adam Sanderson train has definitely left the station, but will M-Sky Z decide he doesn't want to be on board anymore? But Scotty Designs is still holding pretty well in P11 as Adam Sanderson. Well, that's certainly a way of trying to put off your teammate, your opponent, by going as far wide as possible. But it didn't work out for him as Scotty Designs was not intimidated, and it's given M-Sky Z a good run into the first corner, but he's going to have to be late on the brakes if he wants to do it. He didn't have that good of a run, but yeah, didn't make the move. But Adam is really starting to struggle on these soft tyres.
Covers the inside though through 2 and 3 in the dirty air, saves him again, but now on the inside of 4, running over to 5 and 6. You've got a miniature run where you can make that charge through. They pass the podium there, which is at turn 4 as they go through. Mike Stachio first to pick up penalties for the warning of corner cuts. 3 seconds in the back pocket, and now's going to have to really work to bring himself back into play once more. But now you start looking around at M-Sky Z, who's got a lot of work to do, and he just cannot get the line sorted through 6, 7, 8 to give himself that run. He tries here, and at the late stages, when he runs out of battery, he will throw it down, and look at that. Follow on through, why don't you? You open the door, I will follow. And Ricky 03 fighting with Adam Sanderson. He gets no room to go and work with up at the chicane, and Adam Sanderson has to clip the bollard as he goes through. No virtual safety car for that, but he'll find himself back into 14th position, muscled out.
Aggressive as he liked from Ricky 03, but beautiful on the opposite side. I'm sure Adam won't be saying that in his cockpit, but he makes the move back down the inside with DRS, as George is also looking for the move but doesn't make it on this occasion. But beautiful racing between the Williams and the Mercedes-Benz of Adam Sanderson. And here comes Nick Flies, almost gets run out of road, does get run out of road, and almost causes a massive collision with the pit lane there, as it's all going hammer and tong in the final sector between 5 cars here.
Yeah, Nick Flies is there in the mix, and he had to run off. T. George 15-17, Ricky 03. Oh, T. George having to go miles wide at turn 4. Now leading towards turn number 5. Middle of the pack is incredible. What a move by T. George, throwing it down the inside of Ricky 03 to get it done. And carnage is the best defence for Adam Sanderson. It seems at this moment, probably in the window now, of needing to make a pit stop, and all the while the gap at the front between GB and Rasin Chai and Co is now down to 3.5 seconds for the race lead. So that now continues to bring it close. Now which way? Either way they start thinking. Big send by Nick Flies down the inside, but he's going to be on the wrong side of the road here for turn 12, and now heading through 13. The inside line is there. Oh, it's contact into the wall. There's a wing that's been absolutely discarded, and a spin there for Nick Flies. Ricky gets corner cutting, and I wonder whether he's going to try and throw for a safety car here at this point, as through is going to go Matty D13. Virtual safety car deployed.
Virtual safety car, and Adam Sanderson, I think, would take this opportunity to pit and get rid of those soft tyres. Anyone can get a cheap pit stop. Now is the opportunity. A full safety car will be much better for a lot of our drivers, but a virtual safety car is what we've got. But when you go too wide in that sector, it's guaranteed to happen, Jake. That is a bit of the circuit you do not try and go wheel to wheel in, and it was, it was going to happen sooner rather than later.
Yeah, it does happen, and so for these drivers, Scotty Designs, M-Sky Z, Adam Sanderson down into the pits then, and Ricky 03, they will take advantage of these conditions, take a cheap pit stop. It's called a cheap one because you're spending time in the lane, but the drivers who are out on circuit do not gain as much of an advantage by that pit stop being taken. They will move on to their different tyre strategies and bring themselves through. Now, what does need to be remembered here, because this race was wet to start, they don't have a tyre compound allocation that they have to do, and a drive-through penalty for T. George 1570 for speeding under the VSC coming out of the pits. Ricky 03 also picks up penalty.
Certainly has, and those are the tyres they pitted onto. Scotty on a new set of hards, along with Sanderson, M-Sky Z, Ricky, and Mike Stasio, all on a new set of hard tyres. But for our leaders, they do not get the opportunity to make that cheap pit stop underneath the load of safety cars. Here comes Adam Sanderson using those new tyres to good use, already past Ryan there. And I think for Adam, it's actually come out at the perfect time. Now, if Adam can get his skates on here, get some good laps in, keep pumping them in, he could undercut a few drivers here.
Well, so can Scotty Designs. I think he might be on a hard tyre to the end from here, and that might be a really good strategy call that he's trying to get at here. So this is where you're starting to look around and go, those nearer the back have been given a great ticket to go forward just by where the virtual safety car came out. Here comes Adam Sanderson. He absolutely blitzes by a damaged Nick Flies there, who looks like he's got no front wing out there at all. Oh, which way are you going to go? There, big moment there. Ryan Littlemore opened up the corner, realised he wasn't going to make it, and he had to flick spin it the other way to save the car.
Yeah, he saved that beautifully, but that's the second time we've seen him do that this afternoon. He did it in the wet, and now he's done it in the dry. Well, they say third time's the charm, but I'm hoping, for Ryan's sake, he does not do it again. And it's not a nice moment having to lose the car. Now, Kareem has not made that move on Razin just yet, but if I wasn't mistaken here, Jake, he's definitely dropped back, and he certainly has. He's over a second now.
He might have burnt his tyres up trying to stay with Rasin Chai's pace.
There's no DRS.
And yeah, no DRS either. Coming along the back stretch here, moving to turn 17. And this is big, disastrous possibilities because GB68 is only 2 seconds back now and brings himself into play with this group. And that was not what the doctor ordered. He's dropped Tiamat Marduk in terms of this pack. And now it's a case of, well, what is Karen managing on those mediums? How far is he willing to go with them? Where is he going to find the right strategy call to get him home and hosed? And so I would say at the moment, on those medium tyres, you're looking at about 15 to 20 laps by the looks of it to be in absolutely the right place to work. And so I think he's got to keep it out there for 2 to 7 more laps before he's got a medium tyre that safely gets him home.
Yeah, he certainly has. And the amount of time he's stuck behind that Alpine, the dirty air coming back off that car as we see the midfield battle start off once again. Scotty Design's about 19.5 seconds off the top 10, or at least Tukey in 10th place. So he's going to need to really pump those laps in, but those hards will get better and better the more he uses them. So that it will be good news for Scotty Design fans, by the way. But we're on lap 19 of 57. The race has hit that moment where drivers are trying to save their tyres. But it's been action throughout this Grand Prix here at the Creator Series, and I have thoroughly enjoyed every single lap we've seen so far.
Every lap they are making progress. They're trying to find out what they can do. Tukey then through on Safsho. Then that one for 9th and 10th. I expect that they'll be leapfrogs in pit stops as they try and go about it. But Gwatz maybe, Big T-Mac won't by the likes of Scotty Design at this stage. But now it gets busy for M-Sky Z, who goes flying by Adam Sanderson there. M-Sky Z is on a warpath right now, and he knows that he will take no prisoners each and every time he goes about. Matty D13 is next.
Yeah, it certainly is. They are flying through the grid, these drivers on their brand new tyres with M-Sky Z. Trying to get past Matty D. We saw Scotty Designs do it just a few laps before, and you can see that gap come down. It was what was it when we crossed the line? About 19 seconds. It's now 18.5. So he's gained almost half a second there. So those new tyres working wonders for Scotty Designs. But he's got a lot of work to do if he wants to try and undercut a lot of people.
Speaking of wonders, keep an eye 5th, 6th, and 7th on the road. Emphatic holding back Chris and Big T-Mac for position. This is the best I have seen in Fratic race in a little while. It has been since the opener in Spain. He's been waiting for points of meaningful variety where he picked up a 3rd place finish.
Well, it is his game, Jake, so I expect him to start and pick up some big points here this afternoon in Miami, and hopefully he can get himself up maybe into the top 4. But he's about 4 seconds off Tio Marduk, who has now dropped back from GB, and I wonder if he started to burn his tyres out as well.
We'll see lap 20 here of 57, about to go on to lap 21 with Racing Chai. 10 seconds of penalty hanging over his head. Nothing he can do about it except hold it. It was the speeding on pit entry as he went on by. And at the current pace that he's going at, he will be at least 7th when he gets to the checkered flag if he is to finish in the position that he is right now on this 21st lap. Karim 70 in second with GB 68 at just a second and a half back. I tell you what, GB is driving a wonderful race, and if you want to talk championship between him and Karim, there is a 17-point difference at the moment. He needs to chip every time he can. If he can get 50 points over the next 2 races with no Alex Gillen, we assume he's got the illness of, sorry, I'm getting married, then he would be with just 1 point back when he comes back.
And that would be a huge moment for GB, a man who a few seasons ago, well, from last season, didn't even have a race win to his name, Jake. And now we're talking about him in contention for the Creator Series title, and he is really starting to prove his worth here in the Creator Series because he is so much faster in this year's game. And, you know, he's really started to pick up that pace. It's suiting him down to a T as we see Nick Flies come into the pits, probably to change that front wing that has been damaging him for quite a number of laps here. 1.8 seconds between the top 3, and there we go, we can see front wing change and soft tyres going on for Nick Flies there. I think anticipating maybe a safety car a bit later on in the Grand Prix. But here we go. And we're going to see finally GB closing in again. Tio Marduk now 2.7 seconds off the back of GB. He was only a second and a half when I last checked. What's happened?
Well, he's dropped back a little bit in terms of pace. That can be a mistake somewhere along the lap, which really cost him. And GB gets no luck with the traffic out of the pits. There's no way that someone like Nick Flies is going to be racing for cleanest driver here today. But what he has done is he has completely brought GB 68 up there. And if he had an opportunity to get to Karim on this lap, it's just gone.
He certainly has. And interestingly enough, Safso in 10th place has made his pit stop here. And that is going to be interesting indeed, because we're going to see where Scotty's going to come out in consideration. He's going to absolutely undercut him by miles here as he's getting himself back into the top 10. Scotty Designs, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, is in the points here at the Creator Series.
He'll take that. He'll take points at the moment. 10 for T. George as well for speeding as he dives into the lane. Disaster there near the back of the pack.
That's absolute disaster as well, because didn't he also have a drive-through penalty, if I'm not mistaken?
I don't know.
I can't remember.
What he's got is a headache.
Yes, he certainly does have a headache. I mean, he's going to be costing him big there in this Grand Prix. As GB's let past the McLaren, now makes sense. He's on fresh tyres, fresh soft to be exact. Now, drivers are allowed to unlap themselves here, Jake, but they do not want to get themselves involved in this battle and cause people to lose positions here. But you can see physically that Nick Flies is so much faster on those soft tyres, but it's costing people big.
Well, this is where it gets interesting, because it's where he gets by, not just when. He's really trying to cut up and under, up and under, up and under here to get by Racing Chai. If I was Racing Chai, I let him go through, because I'll sneak a little bit of DRS coming through the next section, but I don't think he's wised up to it here, holding himself in position. So now he's going to have a lap where he doesn't have that DRS, and he's just got the car in between them. So now it's 1.3. GB's going to have DRS now on this back stretch, and he's going to have license to attack Karim, which might not be what the doctor was ordering out there on circuit. But through goes the lap traffic then of Nick Flies to go and get what he wants. But crucially, GB not close enough to Karim to go and make that move happen. So they will stay as they are here on their 23rd lap of this race. 1, 2, and 3 chasing up under the turnpike.
And that was an awful place for Razin to let him through, because he got so much dirty air. Through a sector, you need clean air, and it could cost him big here, because now Karim is back in DRS. GB is now within this front 3, and it's going to be big bad news in a bit for Razin, because of course, remember, he's not going to the end of that race on these tyres. They're only 17 laps old, and they have done a lot of work. He needs to serve his 10-second time penalty, so he's got a lot of work to do, does the Alpine man. But of course, if there's anyone that can do it, it is Razin Shai's. Nick Fly sets the fastest lap of the race. That's how much faster he was. 1:30.0 there in the dry. What a lap that is on his car. And yeah, soft tyres, mentally fast at the moment.
Yeah, they are, and this is a case of, well, I need to just go out there, blitz through my tyres, and then go in, get another set, and blitz through them as well. It's qualifying lap mode. Right now we're seeing from Nick Flies at the moment. Safsho will be in the same boat as it stands. M-Sky Z, comfy on the pass on the hard tyres, makes good work of Adam Sanderson, as these two have been leapfrogging together to stay with Safsho, and they'll be looking at Safsho going, well, you're good for another 4 laps to run away from us, and then we'll just come careening back.
Yeah, surely the soft tyres are not going to go to the end of the race. So Sapso's committed himself to, what, a 3-stop here in this Grand Prix?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a bit of a mental strategy, but we'll see how it plays out here. But yeah, I'm very much looking forward to seeing where this race goes from now. We're on lap 24 of 57. We're not even at half race distance, I believe.
No, and it has been such a frenetic race, full of drama and intrigue out there, and the front has been a guessing game of who has got what and who is with what and who can get to what out there, with Rasin Chai, Karim, GB, Tiamat Marduk, who's just been a whisper in the wind in 4th position, Infratic in 5th, and all of the battles that we see there with the likes then of Scott Taylor trying to work his way through a couple of drivers as well by the looks of it. One of the Saubers there that we saw definitely not having a day there. Yes, Scott Taylor losing out there, or battling with Nick Flies just in front. But for Rasin Chai, he's definitely there in the lead on borrowed time. It's very much a case like saying, oh, everybody's out the office, so I get to sit in the director's chair. That's how it's going to feel for Rasin Chai at the moment.
Yeah, it certainly does, because he knows in his heart of hearts that he may be leading the Grand Prix on track. But overall, it's Guat's 10-second time penalty again. That pit lane catching so many drivers out this afternoon, and that is not good for Guat's there, because he was in a really good position up in the top 10, but he's going to lose a lot of time because he's on softs as well. What are these strategy calls here, Jake? I have not seen the likes here, as we see GB very close to the likes of Kareem. Will he go around the outside? He's going to be late on the brakes. He's going to find that gap. He's going to get run out of road by Kareem, and he can't make it stick there. But the first of the warning shots has been fired on Kareem.
Well, you start looking there, and Kareem is not going to make this pass easy. It's going to be hard fought for by GB68 if he wants to get by. If he wants to move up into 2nd position, he's going to have to earn it. And he'll use this long back stretch here as they run over to turn 17 to try and figure out whether the pass is there. Moves over to the inside then and really chucks it deep on the brakes. Can he throw him out on the exit of the corner? No, is the response, and he does finally get his clearance. So GB68 up to 2nd and looking to try and get to 1st with DRS on the front stretch. Now we'll look to move on Rasin Chai, the position. Rasin holds it, but now they'll look again here, waiting through 2, 3, 4, and heading over towards turn 8, and that big overtaking chance at 11.
I think those medium tyres have finally hit their cliff, because those hards are starting to come alive here in this Grand Prix, and I wonder if GB right now, with those sim racing setups, are allowing him to be pro and fire through this Miami Grand Prix. You can obviously get yourself some at the moment with sim racing setups. Just go over there and check them out. But we're right now checking out GB's overtake on Rasin Chai. Is he going to go down the inside? Rasin has no defence left in him, or does he? Because he holds it around the outside, which turns to the inside line. He'll try and hold it around the outside, GB, but he's going to run out of road. But he has another DRS straight coming up to give him that overtake that he desires so much.
It's a different race for Rasin Chai. If he's thinking about it, he's got to be minimal resistance. Yes, he wants to hold the race lead, but he needs minimal resistance if he wants to take the 10-second penalty out of contention. He wants as little interference as possible because he's got Infratic at 8 seconds, but GB picks up the run again with Slipstream and DRS and will move into the point and lead this race for the first time. So if that's not an indication, I don't know what is. They're going to get one car in front of them jumping into the pit, and it will be one of the Saubers that will jump in, so that will be Scott Taylor, I believe, who's making the call to dive down into the lane. And now I would look around and go, well, what more? GB's going to try and make a margin, but at what point do Racing Chai and Karam 70 pull the pin and say, right, we're in because we have to?
I think it's got to be any time soon. Surely, Jake, they do not want to be waiting too long because GB's pace is supersonic right now. He is firing through this Miami GP as Gwatz makes himself up into 11th place. But GB is on fire here this afternoon as MSkyZ, his teammate, falls down to 11th place. But of course, Gwatz, even though he's made that position, he's got 10-second time penalty.
Well, 10 seconds is tough for Racing Chai. He's trying to keep Infratic Chris and Big T-Mac out of place, and that's what he'll be gambling on late on in this race. But for Gwatz now in 11th, he's eyeing points up, but remember, he's got 10 of his own to deal with Scotty Designs, by the way, and also MSkyZ, Matty D13 decides he's going to jump in.
Yeah, and he certainly does. There's a lot of drivers deciding that this is the lap to make their pit stop, and I wonder if any of those leaders will consider the pit stop as well. We've got another few cars diving in, but those soft tyres, I don't see why they've done that, as Scotty has now made it back past Safso, who, let's not forget, is on those softs, and Scotty's on the hards, and he's surely made the better strategy call.
Yes, and I think the better strategy is going to be who can manage on what is a wet to dry race to start this. For those who are here for the first time or missed the start, looking at you, LMWFB, it's a case of where do you go and say what more can you find? It's GB68 who's in control, hard tyres versus mediums out there as Safsho makes the pass then on Scotty Designs and gets himself back through to make the place. It's a case of those who are pitted compared to those who have not, and at the moment we're in the middle of strategy. I think medium might be the way home.
I think surely for our leaders that's got to be the option they go for. I mean, the hards clearly are now in the better state, but it took them a long time to get there, and GB won't have that luxury. As we're going to see a lovely move here from the Red Bull driver as he tries to hold around the outside of Scotty Designs, who's still in the points. Gwatz, of course, with that time penalty and the soft tyres, I wonder for Scotty, is it worth letting him past and feeding off his DRS?
Might be, but you're now thinking about, well, I've got DRS anyway, and there's wheel-to-wheel contact through the middle of 7, and just like that, Gwatz decides, I'm just going to take what's mine and go and take that one away. Brilliantly done, but now as they duel on the straight and have a duel of fates, it's going to be a case of straight back. Corner cutting for Scott Taylor, another 10, and he's retired from the session. That might be a safety car that has been thrown into this one. Spanner in the works, safety car at halfway. Everybody now will dive in.
Everyone except Kareem, who stayed out here. And has he missed it? Has he missed the pit stop? Or has he decided this is the better strategy? Surely that's a mistake. It's got to be a mistake.
There's no other way of saying it. He has missed it. So that is an intentional safety car that has been thrown. Remember, you cannot throw an intentional safety car into play after lap 42. So the final 15 laps are sacrosanct in this race. You cannot throw a safety car out there. But Karim has got it right. What? Inters?
Ladies and gentlemen, I have been questioning the strategy all afternoon, but this one I have not seen coming. Is there some rain on the radar here, Jake? Because that could be the only reason they have gone on intermediate tyres.
Well, you'd hope that the safety car is a couple laps. And if they have thrown in, Sasho's gone in, there's got to be rain on the horizon if they've gone on a dry track and thrown intermediate tyres on. They've got to be expecting rain.
They would not do it any other reason. I mean, they are going to be struggling if it goes back under racing conditions when it's still dry. But there are clouds building up here. And with, 27 laps to go when they cross the line? There's clouds coming up. I think, Jake, there is some rain on the horizon.
Oh, well, bring me more than just the horizon. Bring us another spanner in the works to say there's more rain to come. And this is really starting to throw a lot into perspective here. You've got drivers who have come in and pitted for soft tyres. You've got drivers who have come in for intermediates. But the one issue that they're going to run into is what happens if the rain doesn't come by the time the safety car comes back in? They'll all look very, very silly. GB, Racing Shy, and co. In comes Karim 70, has to come in and make that pit stop. Absolutely no alternatives for it, but will he go on to a set of intermediates like his rivals around? Interesting.
Well, interesting here, folks. Karim.
Interesting.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I have not seen the likes here as Karim has come backwards into his pit box. But he's got on the intermediate tyres as well. Everyone's going on the inters here, folks.
Interesting.
Well,
I think we might have a broken lobby. I think
we
this
may
will have to be a red flag situation.
Chris is retired?
Yeah, no, this will be a red flag because this is a lobby that's broken here at the halfway stage. So lap 30 of 57, mark it down. They might have to redo a lobby here with 27 laps worth of racing, or about half distance. So that is going to be a lot that brings themselves in. We'll keep an eye out on things as they progress, but they've got to halfway and there have been a few troubles that have brought themselves in. GB is there with Racing Chai. Chris is a retiree now here in this race, which now puts things into perspective. So there will be questions about whether we're going lobby again to go and sort it out, and we'll wait communication to see how this is going to go through. So it is now going to be a question of who is going to manage to do what, but we are currently going to work under safety car conditions until we hear other words that come on out. 10 seconds for speeding for Matty D13.
Well, we saw Adam Sandlin leave the session. I don't know if that is an indication or if that's just a problem. I have a feeling it have just been a little issue with Chris, but the lobby itself is fine. It just looked a little bit weird from our perspective. I think everyone else this lobby, because I've not heard anything or seen anything that we're going to get a restart here. So let's just say that this race is going to get back underway. There is half the grid on inters, half the grid is on dries, and Big T-Mac, who's in fourth, is on softs. He's going to get that advantage early on here, Jake, but if we don't get underway in the next couple of laps, if that rain falls, he could be in big trouble.
Very much could do, but we might be getting word that a new server might be coming up, so we'll keep our eyes and ears peeled to hear if there is anything more that does come up on the horizon after a very weird moment that had just come through. So that was a big amount of drama that has brought itself into perspective, but it looks like we are still going under safety car conditions with a big shuffle up now. GB68 in control, Racing Chai second. Karen, by the way, has come out in third after all of that. Big T-Mac on soft tyres is fourth, with Tiamat Marduk and Scotty Designs, by the way, electing not to pit and jumping up to sixth. In comes Adam Sanderson.
Adam Sanderson back in the pits there, interestingly enough. And I wonder if that's going to be for dry tyres or maybe for a new set of intermediates. Or he's putting on his 13-lap-old hard tyres, which that's not something I would have expected.
That is a big decision to put back on the hard tyres at this point. I wonder whether he came in for the intermediates. As he said, left server, and so the AI has gone, hang on a minute, I shouldn't be on wets. We're going to go back onto hard tyres here because that's the better call. So that might be where that's gone. So still pacing lap 31 here out there of 70. So that is going to be where you start finding it there. We've got a lovely Hayden Gullis out there who's keeping our eyes out. So Chris may have binned it on pit entry, and if you do that, the game teleports you onto the straight. So it's still going to be a long, difficult run. And by the looks of things here, they are going to be looking to set because safety car is going to come in. Look at the long hold by GB.
Well, he needs the rain. They're on intermediate tyres here, Jake. And Big T-Mac is on soft tyres. It's raining. It's spitting here in Miami. Have they just made the right call at the right time? Or if for Big T-Mac, he needs to absolutely launch off the final corner and pull as far as he can in, well, probably a lap or two.
Well, this is disastrous for those who stayed out, like Scotty Designs and Big T-Mac, who's on soft. They've just got the rain. Right place, right time. GB with the longest hold possible. might just decide as we come back to lap 32 of 57 that they will now start throwing down everything they can. Scotty Desires has to take the pit stop. Rasin Chai has served the penalty and is in second, and Karim is in third. And so for Karim, now he's got to try and find a way back. Rasin Chai is a lucky boy to still be there. A big T-Mac now is going to be good for about a lap and a half or so, and then he'll have to come into the pits. He can't find a way through at 4 and 5.
He really needs to fire up these softs and use them while they are the best tyre on the grid. But I think at the moment, the rain is coming down and they may not already be the best tyre. They may already be struggling here because I'm seeing him slide and slip on this Miami circuit. And he's not really making up the ground that we'd expect here.
No, this is very much a case of he was hoping that it wouldn't be intermittent conditions. He was banking on mittent conditions and didn't get any out there. So he will now start to struggle as there is Tukey in 8th position. Safsho is going to find himself then in 7th place and trying everything he can to move on through and jump through the chicane, looking around and saying, where can I find that next place to go and make these moves? But for GB, they'll realise that after the long safety car, they don't get the DRS until next lap. So don't expect to move here on this lap, but the next one, if it hasn't been thrown to wet conditions, they will go. Tiamat Marduk isn't going to sit by and wait. He's just going to easily make the pass on Big T-Mac. And Big T-Mac here, I think, is going to need a big anorak as he now heads into the pits.
It's been absolute disaster for the Williams man, who's driven such a good race this afternoon. And Williams once again strike with some awful luck here and awful timing. The rain has well and truly arrived at Miami, and it's going to cost some drivers big in this race. But for GB, it's not really changed for him. He's still in the lead of this Grand Prix, and by the looks of it, there will not be any DRS down the straight. So now it is down to pure skill from our racing drivers, and they've got that in buckets here.
Yeah, I've got skills. What are you going to do about it? That's where you're going to be at this moment with GB, with Rasin Chai, with Karim, with Tiamat Marduk and Infratic in 5th position. Safsho 6th, Watt 7th, and now it's about charging. It's charging time. Mike Stachio into the pits then as they go, and now you're starting to wonder, 1, 2, 3, where are you going to go? And for the moment, they will stay as they are, lap 33.
They certainly will. I saw Karim into that first main straight, almost binned it straight into the wall. He was so pushing through that first leg. That was madness from the Red Bull driver. But now it is all down to where these drivers can get their acceleration out of the corners. Tiamat Marduk is still in P4, looking for that second podium finish of the year since the opening round in Spain. And Infratic as well, in the hunt for a podium here. He's in P5 at the moment, and can he possibly stand on the podium here in Miami? It will be quite the result for the Ferrari driver. He's just dropping a little bit back from our front runners. It's Tukey, who, let's not be frank about this, has had a dreadful race this afternoon. He's up in P7 now. He's battling with Watts for, possibly a top 5 finish.
Oh, I'll tell you what, it's M-Sky Z, who I'm very impressed with in 9th, who is now in the midst of it. Everyone else is ways back who couldn't catch the safety car, no matter how much they tried to bring themselves around, like, say, Scotty Desires, who came in and pitted, Matty D13, T George 15, 17. They're all miles back as far as that's concerned, but for Tukey, at the moment in 7th, he's done very well to get himself back into play, but he needs to get by Safsho because they've dropped 2.5 seconds to the leading quintet right now. And I wonder whether it was wet setup for Tiamat Marduk, because he looks a lot more energized right now in this race, and so too does Infratic.
He certainly does. Maybe they knew that rain was coming. They just needed to be sure of when it was coming down, and it certainly paid off in the end. But yeah, Infratic is absolutely flying at the moment. Is really motoring on in that Ferrari. But in the wet conditions here, Jake, we saw in the opening laps, it is tricky to make overtakes in those traditional spots, but it opens up a lot of opportunities for making moves in places you wouldn't normally expect here at Miami.
No, I know, and especially in these conditions, those cardboard swimming pools that they've got up there over the top of turn 12, they're going to be looking around and going, yeah, they're going to be full of water right now, and they are going to be looking around trying to hold their strategy. It works! Oh, my goodness, Rasin Chai throwing something wrong under braking there. The brake balance, they're slightly out of kilter, and the rear's locking up as he goes in to the corner. GB, oh, he gets away with one.
Gets away with one, and luckily no front wing damage on the front of Razin Shai's car. That could have been tremendously awful for not only the challenger, but the race leader as well. And I'm sure if Alex Gillen has got any sort of, motivation for Creator Series, he's watching it at the podium right now and was hoping that that was going to end badly for the front two.
Well, it could have been absolutely disastrous there, and Karim and Tiamat Marduk would have been laughing all the way to the next round of the season. That was a major, major moment out there in a race that we've all looked around and gone, well, what do we do about it? They didn't know what they were going to be racing here today as they walked on in, so now they've got to know what more can they do to keep themselves into perspective. Razin Shai again getting close, but it's just close. It's not major enough to go and get down the inside. You need to get that overlap to make the throw, and at least for the moment, it's going to be a case of, well, we will watch, we will wait, but we won't get very much more of it right now. The Alpine trying to throw with a bit of a second life. 3 seconds for Tukey.
I'm just praising him for a good afternoon racing, but that 3 second is going to drop him quite far, well, down to 9th place at the moment. With Gwatz and MSkyZ very close. But here comes Tiamat Marduk. Is he going to go for it? He's a little bit too far back on this occasion. But yeah, he's opened up here the racing as he slides into the final corner before going into 18 and 19. But yeah, he's definitely flying on these new intermediate tyres. And maybe that wet setup is what he's been running here now, because he's looking a lot better than he was on those hard tyres.
Yep, and look at Karim 70 going through. Maybe Tiamat Marduk was only washed because he works in the rain.
Well, that is a good point. I hadn't considered that, but it is looking good for him. As Karim trying to get some clean air here. Of course, dirty air is still a massive factor, even in the wet weather. That does not change around at all. And they will still be challenging those front tyres. I wonder, are we going to see another pit stop in this phase, Jake, or do you reckon these Indians can get them to the end of the Grand Prix?
I think they can hold. I think it's right on the cusp of what we've expected for an intermediate stint, which we saw earlier on flash up on our screens of a one-stop. So I think that they are in a position of, let's just gun it to the end and see what happens. GB in control. He is having a wonderful Creator Series at this moment here the last couple of weeks, but Razin Shai almost nibbles away at his rear diffuser there in the rain light, and he is certainly trying to throw what he can and seeing if it sticks, and at the moment nothing has done. There's Infratic in 5th. He's starting to lose contact with the front four right now, and I think he's going to have a very lonely race to deal with after this.
Yeah, of course, Sapso about 3 seconds behind him as well. He's not really making any ground. For Infratic's sake, he needs a moment between the front four, let's say, to give him the opportunity to be a bit further up, but right now it is not looking good for the man who said this is his moment and this is his game. And this game right now seems to be a P5 position. But Karim is getting a lot closer, and maybe close enough for a dive into turn 1. But in these wet conditions, as we mentioned, Jake, it's so difficult to make that run. But has Karim just made me take the words right out of my mouth? No, he hasn't. He cannot make it into the first corner.
Well, he made it through the first corner. He just couldn't make it ahead of Razin Shai, which is the problem that he runs into at this moment here, going through turns 4 and 5, and now starting to think about where do you go. Turns 6, 7, and 8 now follow, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all in a line at the moment. Karim's going to have to try and prioritise his exits more than his entrances at the moment in these intermediate conditions if he wants to try and find that overtake, and he gets a wonderful run here along the back stretch, moving to turn 11, he tries to cross him over to the inside at turn 11. Oh, Karim, what a big throw down the inside. He'll have to go around the outside of 12 to hold 13, and now can he stick the power down? Yes, he's got the clearance for it. Now up at 14 and 15, is he going to command the apex? No! Contact! Round goes Karim, he's out!
He's out, he's hit that front, it's a safety car! Oh, it could have gone worse for the man right now. It is terrible, and Tiamat Marduk got 10 seconds as well!
Brutal. Absolutely brutal here in the late stages of this race. A safety car, the driver second in the championship is out, and Tiamat Marduk's got 10 in the back pocket. My goodness.
Yeah, it's not looking good for well, it's not looking good for Tiamat Marduk. It was looking so good, and it's gone so wrong. I wonder if these drivers will take the opportunity to get new intermediates. Nope, they're staying out. But Ben, yeah, does have damage on his car. It couldn't be much worse for the Mercedes man. But yeah, what an incident there. And Razin, I'm sure, will be having discussions with Kareem at the end of this race, because that looks very close. But you don't make two cars into one in that corner.
My question here about this for you, Alex, is does Tiamat Marduk have damage, or does damage have Tiamat Marduk?
I am not sure, Jake. I'm not sure. But yeah, damage has Tiamat Marduk. I think that's the case. Not Ben has damage. But he does have damage, but he doesn't anymore. He's got fresh inters, and he's down into, well, P11. He just can't catch a break at the moment, Jake, can he?
Well, the good news is he served the 10-second penalty there. It was a do not touch for 10 seconds. So he gets away with that because it's done under the safety car conditions. It served at his next pit stop. So he gets away with it and now has a chance to fight back. The issue he's going to run into is he's going to have to walk through. So GB now leads. Rasinchai second. Podium for Enfratic. Has anyone put that on the cards?
It wasn't on my bingo sheet, but yeah, I mean, Razin...
it's normally under free space, isn't it?
Yeah, it certainly is. But yeah, what do you think make on that, Jake, with Kareem and Razin? Is it just two cars don't go into one and that's what happens? Or I don't think it was either driver's fault, really.
Well, you're always going to go fighting into that corner. Rasinchai's got to try and make that corner in some way, shape or form. And so they are fighting for the same piece of real estate. Neither of them wanted to give up. And so I would say that both were alongside each other. If that was one of those really serious, like PSGL or those sorts of leagues out there, you could probably say that's racing incident, and so that's probably the way we're going to roll it now at this moment. Matty D13 now leads. Is the safety car broken again?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, Matty D13, what a race he's had. He's jumped all the way up to P1 in a matter of moments. I think he's waiting for the leader. As the leader here is Matty D13, who he's going to realise he's the race leader here. Oh, no! Don't overtake the safety car, Matty. What are you doing? You're the leader.
Holds the brakes, so... Oh, he's disqualified for ignoring yellow flag! Oh, you can't ride it! Matty! What are you doing?
He was leading the Grand Prix, and he's been disqualified. He made up 16 positions, and it still gets disqualified. It's a moment to forget for the Ferrari man.
Oh, what an absolute travesty of racing. I'm sure that when they go around that the stewards here post-race are going to undisqualify him and give him the victory because he deserves it after the way he's driven.
He drove so well. Making 16 positions up in less than a lap is quite a miracle from the Ferrari driver, but that's just how Ferrari rolls sometimes. But GB back in the lead of this Miami Grand Prix, and I don't think chaos is the word to describe this Grand Prix at the moment, Jake.
I think that even Cthulhu Fatagan himself would struggle to comprehend what is happening right now in terms of this race. Lap 39 here of 57, and GB somehow, some way, is leading this race after the travesty of Matty D13 being disqualified there at that moment in time. But now you start thinking, okay, what do you do now? Reset, put yourself into position, because they'll be down to 16, 17, 18 laps left as far as this race goes. So that is going to feel very much like a sprint run, and
Wait.
GB pits. Oh, that's a huge call.
Dry tyres? Surely not. I have not seen the likes here, Jake. I can't commentate this anymore, it's too much.
Oh, this is a huge gamble by GB. Scotty Designs is going to come in. He's going to go onto a set of mediums. Nick Flies on a set of hards. I think the mediums are a bigger gamble than the hard tyres. In fact, hard tyres are going to be interesting because they will be a tyre that will really struggle in these conditions to get temperature into.
Now, Jake, I don't want to call it, but are we living in a world where Scotty Designs may be about to be a podium finisher here?
It is not impossible.
Adam Sanderson's also.
We live in a world where Devon Butler could win this race.
It's not raining anymore. Jake, it's not raining here at the Miami G circuit.
I tell you what, there is a meteorologist that is sat on the pit wall of the Aston Martin pit box, whispering into GB's ear, yeah, what do you want? Do you want to turn the rain off now and go on to dry tyres? Yeah, that would be a good idea, wouldn't it? So we're really seeing these differences. And now it's a case of when is that safety car coming in, and will everybody else now follow suit and trundle down into the pits to go get a set of dries on? That's going to be huge. And what was even bigger was that Tiamat Marduk pitted, lost his track position, and now he's going to lose even more.
If the safety car is in this lap, GB will probably win this Grand Prix, but I think everyone's going to get that free pit stop to go onto the dry tyres. It's not coming in this lap. So we're going to have another lap behind the safety car here. And I'm sure from P1 to P10, as we get... Oh no. Are we having... I think we might have a restart here, folks. And that could really...
Well, everyone's in the pits. We should be okay, but Host has decided he's done watching. But at the moment, get everybody in here. Get everybody in here. Oh, now we're going to get interesting because we're going to get double stacks in. There's a double stack at Alpine for Tukey, who's going to be in trouble here. And GB will retain the lead. Scotty Design second. Rasin Chai will come out of the pits in third as he struggles on the power going off for the exit here. Adam Sanderson is going to go up to what, 6th place as he exits there. So they go, yeah, it'll be 6th place. Safsho will be 5th. 6th for Adam Sanderson. All penalties, Tukey and Ricky 03 still.
Oh, 3 seconds for both of them. Ladies and gentlemen, do not change your TV sets. Scotty Designs, by the way, is in 2nd place and is behind the race leader, and that is on pace right now. I don't know what to say.
Decided he didn't want to win. So at the moment, Scotty Designs, by the way, is having himself a career day.
I mean, he certainly is. Up in 2nd place. Of course, he's still got a lot of laps to go. There is no more intentional safety cars allowed after at the end of lap 42. But Scotty Designs is in 2nd place. Adam Sanderson is in 6th place. Infratic is in 4th place. And drivers are mixing through the grid. Tiamat Marduk, somehow, after all this, is still out of the points.
He's 11th, but he's only got to get by M Sky Z to find those points. And this becomes a really, really tough scenario as everybody has come in and pitted. We are behind safety car conditions here on lap 41 of 57. We will get another lap behind it by the looks of things as they go through. Matty D13, oh, what a shame. He's left the session now. And he will be certainly thinking about what more can you do. This has been a day of stories, a day where everybody can surely say that this has been one of the toughest races that they've had to deal with, because you simply just don't know what's coming next. It is a massive case of are we, aren't we, right now with the rain, and it is causing a huge amount of, I would say, drama and trouble out there with 16 runners in there. And through all of this, Ryan Littlemore is still last.
Somehow, he's still last in this race. As Nick Fleiss has gone back into the pits, I don't know what he's pitted onto. If it's intermediates, I'm going to lose my mind. No, it's Ryan Litt who gets 10 seconds in the pit lane. Oh my goodness, Ryan. Oh, there's moments that sometimes are written by the F1 scripts, and I think Ryan is destined not to get a point this afternoon.
Well, watch there be 11 finishers and he'll be 12th or something like that. So it might be one of those days. Ryan Littlemore then in 60, an extra 10 seconds in the lane. He will pick on up, but it is 3 drivers on hards everybody else on mediums, that becomes a really interesting scenario because GB is going to be on the worst race tyre, and that medium might just hold. You know how good he was on the hard tyre, but can he go and make it hold? It is GB, Scotty Designs, Racing Chai, Infratic, Safsho, and Adam Sanderson, which makes up your top 6. It is a truly incredible one out there to say that this is going to be in a really tough scenario. Safety car is in this lap, and so with that in mind, we'll be back running, and there will be just 15 laps to decide a winner here in your Creator Series at Miami. And this has been one of the craziest Miamis out there. It might as well have been Vice City in a Grand Theft Auto game. It's been so unrealistic for as they go. Almost there, pivoting and teleporting in the back was T-George 1570 there from just clipping the wall. But now, here comes the opportunity and the chance. GB looks to get a big run. Scotty Designs will hold up onto the rear, and we're back to running here from racing action around this wonderful Miami circuit.
And Scotty Designs immediately is under all sorts of pressure, but Razin outbroke himself into the first corner and almost caused a massive incident. And GB got away cleanly on those hard tyres. Nick Flies making up moves. Safso pressurising Infratic behind. But it's still GB, Scotty Designs and Razin Shai is your top 3. Timo Marduk trying to make up positions here. Of course, 2 drivers with 3-second penalties in front of him. He'll gain those positions, but he wants to finish better than P11 right now. But GB still leads by 0.7 of a second. DRS, of course, has not been enabled just yet. Razin will need to make that move sooner rather than later. He does not want to be known as the man who couldn't pass Scotty Designs, by the way.
No, he doesn't want to be the one who gets stuck, but Scotty's got to really start running because he wants to have DRS to stay with GB68, who's on that tougher tyre to work with right now. He's got to throw himself with everything he can, and T-George picks up 3 for multiple warnings out there. This has been a crazy race, but now you start wondering where Racing Chai can go, and he might just get it on pure battery. He will just get it on pure battery. That is a comfy pass from Racing Chai.
Absolutely, Scotty can really battle that one back, and maybe he knows in his heart of hearts it's not his afternoon to get that podium, but he's still in P3 with Infratic just behind him. He will get that DRS as Razin Shai is absolutely firing on these medium tyres, and you'd make sense. Those tyres are the better ones to be on right now. How's GB made that mistake? But with so much confusion in this race, who knows how it's going to end?
We have no idea, but what we do know is that Racing Chai is over GB like a rash at this moment, trying to figure out where the right place to go is. Can I find one more position, one more place? M-Sky Z picks up 3 for corner cutting out there. That's going to be no help at all to him in terms of this one. It'll be huge help for Timo Marduk, who's currently net 8. At the moment, if he can get through everyone. Now along this back stretch, everyone's going to have DRS. Everybody's within a second of each other and trying to go through. GB holds on this lap. Racing Chai, no worries about Scotty Designs. They're in 3rd, but everybody now is just looking at, can they get themselves home and hosed up over the top of the turnpike? They will now find themselves and back to civilization again. Racing Chai, it might be a case of not if but when, and this might be the straight where he tries to get it done, and there's looks everywhere back there as Tukey pulls out.
Yeah, it certainly is, and here comes Razin Shai. Is he going to go around the outside of GB? It's not the place you normally want to make it around the outside, but he makes it cleanly enough, or does he? Because GB sticks his nose in it, but can't make it stick. Razin Shai leads the Miami Grand Prix, and my goodness me, has this been a race as Razin sets another fastest lap. We've still got at least 12 laps to go here in this Grand Prix. 12 laps of uninterrupted Grand Prix racing, because there is no more safety cars allowed. Intentional, but we could still get some unintentional ones.
Well, this is all about late-stage drama. Who's going to put themselves right place, right time to make those moves? Safsho's got a chance. Gwat's another 3 will go to him out there, and that will give another bit out there. Ricky 03 is in the points right now, but Timo Marduk's going to continue picking up. There is M-Sky Z looking at Ricky 03, looking around at everybody, thinking, where can I go and gain my advantage to jump on through? Scotty Designs also can't seem to keep the pace of GB, who can only just keep the pace right now. Rasenchai, and there goes the move. Tiamat Marduk on merit is in the points.
It certainly is. No time penalties to his name on medium tyres. It's looking good for the Mercedes man. Right now, on pace with those penalties in front of him, he's P7, with his teammate holding firm in P6. Adam Sanderson doing very well now. He's got himself in that mix. But Scotty Designs, ladies and gentlemen, do cover your eyes, because Infratic is about to make that pass. Or is he? Because he switches to the outside line, and Infratic is being held up by Scotty Designs, by the way. And not being held up, he's defending aggressively. Scotty thinks he may be on the podium here, and he's not going to let it go just like that.
Infratic's playing long game. He's got hard tyres on towards the end of this one, so he needs those medium tyres to start burning up. And the issue that you run into is that the longer you go here... Oh, I'm going to push him over. Tuki's going to get pushed over the circuit there by Gwot. Gwot will hold on to that station, and now Tuki's going to be in trouble. Here comes M-Sky-Z. Down the inside of turn 4, takes it.
Beautiful stuff from the Aston Martin of M-Sky-Z. And yet, Tuki just run out of road there. Watt was not letting him hold that around the outside. But it's beautiful racing indeed. It's all over the place. But it's absolute chaos incarnate here. As GB is almost out of DRS here of Rasenchai.
Yeah, and that's key. 1 second. If he can break a second, he's home and hosed. There's no way that GB will catch that back. M-Sky-Z down the inside of Gwatz now. Takes the place. Can he confirm it through 12 and 13? Pinches him right up to the wall. Oh, and a big slide there from Tiamat Marduk trying to get through. And he's side by side as they go over the top there. And suddenly there's room just enough. Tuki is going to be back in 10th place. Ricky's going to look at that and look at the gaps that start to be made here as they go through. 1.4 now for Tiamat Marduk to get back to M-Sky-Z, who's on Gwatz.
Yeah, and that is where those troubles happen. When you battle in that middle sector, you lose so much time on the car in front, and that could be big, bad news for the Australian there in P9. It's not looking good for Tiamat Marduk. He needs to catch up at 1.1 seconds. GB out of DRS, but Scotty Design still inside of GB's DRS range. Those hard tyres are not firing up here.
No, they're not, and they need time. And that's the key, they need time. 1.1. Rasenchai might be clear. Scotty Designs can't get his mediums into play right now. And he's looking at Infratic, who's got on hard tyres as well, who just can't find the opportunity that is there. For those who are joining us here and have just managed to jump in, a lot of drama. Matty D13 got disqualified for being an absolute god and too good at the game. Karim got into contact with Tiamat Marduk, and because of that, Tiamat Marduk took 10 seconds of penalty, and Karim was out with damage, which caused the safety car. We've had safety cars where drivers have had to pit for inters, they've had to pit for drives, they've had to pit for anything under the sun that moves. Ryan Littlemore is out of the race now.
Yeah, that's retirement on track. He's not caused a safety car, luckily, because you're, of course, not allowed to cause intentional safety cars. So hopefully Ryan didn't consider doing that. But there was no safety cars. I believe, Jake, we may be out of safety cars here.
We might be, and so we'll have to use the medical car in that sense if we're out if we're out of fuel. Bernd Mylander's going to have to hand over to his good friend. There's the move done. Infratic onto the podium with that pass, and now he's starting to think about gearing it up. Sasho will now have a look in 4th position. Scotty starting to tumble, and now he'll fight back with DRS on the straight. He don't give up. He has no word called quit in his dictionary. Down the inside, he gets it back.
Scotty Designs. Who would have expected this? Infratic versus Scotty Designs for a podium finish here at the Miami GP. No one would have predicted this, and it's absolutely epic stuff because Scotty is not laying over, not laying down. He wants the P3, and he may still get it here this afternoon.
He may still do, and what a great bit of defending there by Scotty. He doesn't mind that the top two are there, and GB fluttering and flirting around 1 second at the moment. He wants to make a date with destiny, but at the moment it's through Rasenchai. He's got to book it, but now still you got Scotty Designs desperate for that podium. Hulkenberging his way. He's got to have a car wider than Jarno Trulli, and he's got to have a train longer than that in the peloton of the Tour de France.
It's so close now for Scotty Designs. The laps are counting down. I believe what we're on lap 50 or so. We must be around that level right now. Lap 48, we're not even at 50. Scotty knows that he's running out of time and he's running out of pace here as those medium tyres are starting to struggle, but late on the brakes to Scotty Designs. He's held it around the outside. Infratic surely wasn't expecting this when he rolled up to the back of that Haas car. But Scotty Designs is not letting go here, and he is firing through the grid. But has he finally met his match, or will he break late into the first corner? No, he still defends it. Infratic getting frustrated, but finally has to concede his position and make it here as Safso round the outside of turn 3. Beautiful stuff as Scotty loses 2 places in one.
That's the pass of the day, and there is no doubt about it. You cannot argue that that wasn't an amazing pass to get that sorted. Scotty down to 5th, Adam Sanderson there, Devon Butler's behind him now, and that will strike the fear of God in him as he now starts to work his way. Scotty Designs figuring out where he needs to be, what he needs to do, looking over left-hand side, fights back against Safso. Then as Safso holds the outside, the Google Chrome wheels buffering through turn 12 and holding the place.
It was looking so good for Scotty's podium, but it all crumbled within a couple of corners. He was so aggressive with Infratic, which we love to see, but it cost him big later on in the Grand Prix. But it may have cost Infratic a chance of battling for P2 or maybe even P1. He's 3.8 seconds off the lead, but still got enough laps to catch up. And here comes Devon Butler. Is he going to make a Butler-esque move into the final corner? Is he going to be 2 for 1? It certainly is. It's a double deal as Adam Sanderson moves into P4. He is closer to a podium than he ever has been before.
And now M-Sky Z's there, and Gwatz is there, and Tiamat Marduk's there, and the reason why they're all there is because they're all getting held up. Now here goes M-Sky Z down to the inside. It's 4/10 for the race lead as well, so you've got to keep an eye on that too as they go. Gwatz trying to make the run round the outside of M-Sky Z! Goes around, finds the barrier on the inside. He'll have to reverse and keep going. He'll lose a lot of time, but go up to the front because it's 0.6 of a second now, and Racing Chai is in the cooker. Nick Fleiss picks up 3 more.
Yeah, it's absolute chaos here at the Miami GP. And it was looking so good for Sky Z as well. He made that position back up, and now it's fallen all the way down to P14. A terrible day for Sky Z in the end.
This might be a case of waiting. GB has done so well to hold on with the hard tyres when they've not been working. He fluttered outside of a second. He's brought himself back in, but he's not had a good middle sector of the lap now because that gap is now 7/8 of a second, and he's got to really work to claw this back again. There'll be 6 laps to go at the line, and we've still got a lot to race for right now. Infratic has got one of the most free podiums in the world, so long as he holds on to it. Adam Sanderson is 4th. Don't pinch yourself. You're not dreaming. Oh, that's a huge slide by Racing Chai. He holds on to it. We've cut away at just the wrong time. Safso able to hold himself steady in 4th place. He's through on Adam Sanderson.
He certainly is, but Razin just holding on there. He's had troubles with that corner all afternoon in the wet and the dry. His setup must be absolutely mad to contain with this Grand Prix. I'm sure we're going to have fun speaking to them a bit later on in our interviews in just a few laps time. 6 to go when they cross the line, Jake. And yeah, it looks like Infratic has that podium secured, but you never know with the man from Ferrari. It's his game, Jake, but he always seems to have a mistake in his locker.
Well, it's his game. He knows where all the mistakes are. But Racing Chai now 0.3 of a second, 0.2 of a second. Now you're starting to look out here because here comes GB. He absolutely marauds by Racing Chai, who can only sit and watch, stunned that GB is now in the lead.
That's an absolute sucker punch of a move there from GB. Just absolutely flying past the Alpine. I saw Razin saw just an absolute swift of green paint, and GB was into the lead of the Grand Prix. But now Razin will get DRS once again, and he will try and make that move back on him. But I don't know if he's got the same straight line speed as that Aston Martin does. He will try and try and try, but he can't get close enough. He's so late on the brakes in that corner as Adam Sanderson is back up into P4, folks.
What a good move by Adam Sardenson. Here comes Scotty Designs on the outside. Tiamat Marduk's trying to work his way through, and he'd love to get in fourth. The one thing Tiamat Marduk cannot afford in this is to be slower than Adam Sanderson of all people. Oh, what a cross of the beams with the DRS open. Oh my goodness, Scotty, hold on. Tiamat Marduk still having to try and defend and manages to do so. Safsho into fourth. Adam Sanderson now in fifth, has his own teammate bearing down.
Scotty Designs, I think, is loving life at the front of the grid. It's absolutely battling away with anyone that he so wishes, and that's beautiful racing indeed. As the sun starts to set around the international circuit here in Miami, we've been racing for that long that the sun is setting. It's been a chaotic, carnage-filled race, and we've still got 5 laps to go as Adam gets back in front of Sapso here.
They're trading like nobody's business here. Big T-Mac through on Gwatz as well. Puts him up to 8th. And now as a big throw down the inside trying to get by Scotty. Not going to manage that, are you, Big T-Mac? No. So he's going to have to hold himself steady and into position here. We'll have 5 laps at the line. 53, 54, 55, 56 and 57. Racing Chai continues to remain close. Where do you go, Racing? He's thinking any which way will do at the moment. And he thinks on the brakes and he'll just stay behind.
Staying behind just for now. But he knows in a few laps' time he'll have to make that move stick. But again, he's on the medium tyres. GB on those hard could really struggle to, Rashton could really struggle to get past him when those hard tyres hit that proper window. And they're getting to that phase where the hards will be better than the mediums. We saw it before. And will we see it again here?
Well, this is where Racing Chai has just got to hold on. And if he can get through, he's then got to make sure he keeps himself in place. So I think it's not a case of if he can get by, it's a case of when. It's a case of timing. It's a case of have you managed to find right place, right time to make that move to get it done. But GB68, T George, another 3 he's going to pick up. That puts him on 6 down there in 10th place. But Racing Chai at the moment at half a second, I think is tempering his run quite nicely. He knows he doesn't need to make the move right now.
He doesn't need to make any sort of rash decision at the moment. It is looking so good for the Alpine man who's looking for that big win here under the lights here in Miami. It's been such a beautiful Grand Prix and such a chaotic one. We're going to try and unpick this later on. I think Scotty's going to have an absolute ball this weekend by making this beautiful Grand Prix into quite the funny video to watch. But right now, we're still watching an insane end to this Grand Prix. And Jake, I don't want to test fate, but we've seen so much chaos. Is there a possibility that these two collide and we see an emphatic victory?
No, do not put that into the ether. We won't hear about it for we'll hear about it for weeks, and there'll be no way of stopping Emphatic from saying anything. But right now, you gotta say there is a lot to be done. If he throws the kitchen sink at it on the final lap, he's got a great chance at 0.2 of a second. He is right there. GB on hard tyres, Racing on mediums, giving everything they can to say, will I or won't I? A game of cat and mouse. Safsho still trying to eye up Adam Sanderson. Tiamat Marduk as well is trying to get himself up into 4th place. It's calmed down a little bit in that group behind, but now it's about Racing Chai holding himself steady. Can he calm his nerves and give himself a chance to move on up? Remember, these are 2 drivers in the championship. 3rd and 4th split by by 7 championship points only. A win here won't be enough for Racing Chai to leapfrog GB, but both of them would get closer to the not here. Alex Gillen, his driver, his substitute, Safsho, is doing such a great job at holding Tiamat Marduk. Oh, he'll be a second son to Alex Gillen.
That's exactly what Gillen would have asked him to do if he was in this position, and that is exactly what he is doing. Adam would love his teammate just behind him. I'm sure if Ben was feeling generous, he might even give him that P4. But this is so close with the laps whittling down here. We're on lap 55 of 57. 3 to go as Tiamat Marduk sends it down the inside. Safso will do his best to defend, and he certainly is doing that here. It's glorious defence from the McLaren driver, and it's absolutely beautiful stuff to watch. I hope everyone at home is enjoying this as much as we are commentating it. Absolute pleasure.
It's 3 laps left, and Tiamat Marduk is being done in by what is Alex Gillen, is incumbent. But right now, you start wondering, okay, well, the best I can do is 4th. I need every single point that I can get. I would love 16 championship points with Tiamat Marduk. He hasn't scored more than 10 points since the season opener of this championship. So 16 right now is a fever dream. A look to the outside by Racing Chai, and he tries to cut him back. Round the outside of turn 12. Racing is going to pull off a worldie as they now go up to the chicane. Oh, side by side, they leave just enough room and fight off the exit of the turnpike, and still on the inside. Now it's a game of who's got DRS.
And that was so close racing. They may both have DRS down to the main straight, to the heavy brake zone. No, it's Razin who's got that DRS. They're going to go into turn 17. Razin will have the outside line. He's going to have to brake so much later if he wants to run around the outside of the final corner. And he's still there. He's still there, but he doesn't have the acceleration. And it's going to cost him big there, but he can't make it stick. But can he get the run into turn 1 on this penultimate lap here in Miami?
Well, saving the battery, so no, he won't. Into the opening corner. He's just trying to stay close right now with 2 laps to go. It's a case of, has he shown a hand too early when he knows that he got 3 seconds to Infratic here, so they can't play too many games with this. Adam Sanderson still holds Safsho and Tiamat Marduk, doing a wonderful job. And, of course, Scotty Designs, Big Mac, Quat, M-Sky Z in the train, George in the train as well. But for the moment, it's a case of Racing Chai. Can he find a way to slay the dragon?
And he might get that opportunity still with on the penultimate lap here of this Miami GP. It's been a Grand Prix like no other here in the Creator Series. One of the best we've seen in a very long time. We always have a thriller in the Creator Series, but I don't think anyone expected something like this. It is a mammoth of a race, and a race that has seen so many fun and interesting results as we see more moves going on in the mid-pack, as Scotty Designs is still defending here against Big T-Mac, who's found himself back in the top 8. A mental drive from the Williams driver. But we return to the lead of the race, going on to that final lap. GB and Razin, this is the moment. Infratic 3 seconds behind. It's too far back, surely, for anything to happen. But it's Creator Series. It's this Grand Prix. Anything can still happen, Jake. We're on to the final lap here of the Miami GP.
Anything happens in sim racing, and it usually does. Racing Chai, has he bided his time absolutely perfectly to give GB the heebie-jeebies on the final lap of this race through turn 3. Oh, slide! Oh, it's going to go away immediately. Racing Chai with a huge wiggle going through turn 3. 0.8 of a second now the gap. Somehow he'll still have DRS. Oh, it was heart and mouth stuff. Racing Chai could have thrown a podium away as he went through turn 3. Now he'll not get the best run in the world here, and he'll only have the final chance to make a pass, which will be down at 17. He'll run to turn 11 at 0.6 of a second down, and he'll need an almighty middle sector now to bring himself close. 0.5, 0.4 of a second. He won't have a chance to lunge down the inside here, but he'll have to wait now for the final corners to go and make it happen. Racing Chai, GB68 almost celebrated. Safsho, by the way, moves up into 4th position because they're almost 3 wide. Back here for 4th place and trying to get it done. Almost 3 wide as Tiamat Marduk on the outside can't go anywhere. Safsho now up into 4th, but now as they make that drive, here comes Racing Chai. Where does he go? All the way to the pit wall goes GB. Who will blink first? Who will blink first? Outside line searching by Racing Chai on turn 17. This might be a drag race all the way home. Yes, for Racing Chai. No, GB68 having the season of his life. What a win for him as he gets it done. Now it will be 3rd for Infratic, but 4th, Adam Sanderson and Tiamat Marduk will go for it for the line. Contact into the wall will go Scotty Designs, who will lose his top 10 in points, and Adam Sanderson beats Tiamat Marduk. What a race.
I have no words for what we have just seen on that last lap. I have no words. 7 laps of this Grand Prix. Adam Sanderson 4th, Infratic 3rd, Racing Chai 2nd, and GB, by the skin of his moustache, wins the Grand Prix. But Razin almost threw it away within 3 corners of that final lap, Jake.
Wow. That could have been so disastrous, but GB68 gets the job done and now moves himself just 26 points back of Alex Gillen, moves to second in the championship, and says he is the one who is going to mount the challenge after his win backwards at Austria, his win at the Creator Series ex-Williams Racing LAN Hybrid. Now he adds a third straight out there over the course of this season by getting Miami in his back pocket. He is having the season of his life at the moment, and there's some wet tyres over the line. You love to see it from Mike Stachio, who quietly just says, I don't know what the weather's doing, let's chuck some wets on, it's gonna rain at some point. Absolutely mega in terms of performance, and we will see the podium come into play. But Alex, have you ever?
I have never seen a Grand Prix like that before. I mean, America is always the town of big action, but that one is nuts. Nuts is the only way to describe this Grand Prix.
And there's the trophy raised, and one which GB68 is going to have a huge smile about, knowing that he's picked up that result, and everybody will turn around and say, how have we got out of that one with points? And I think the biggest winner is Alex Gillen by not being a part of it because of all of the stress that would have been involved. Your cleanest driver points, by the way, are going to be important to note as we bring the screen up, because someone's going to have it. I don't think anyone's deserving of them out there as they go through, and so we will wait, and we might not even get them depending on lobby hosts. So that's going to be a little bit of a tall order as we get ourselves into play. But Alex, wow, that basically tail end, the halfway stage of the season, brings a whole heap of perspective into play.
Yeah, it certainly does. I'm not sure exactly who picked up that cleanest driver. I'm sure our producer can let us know, or someone in chat can, who was watching another perspective. But goodness me, what a Grand Prix. I mean, GB somehow, through all that chaos, came away with that Grand Prix victory. I mean, your hair has grown in the time that we've commentated on that. That's how thrilling that Grand Prix has been. It's just grown lengths. But yeah, that is. I don't know what to say. I am blown away by what we've just seen.
It's not grown. It's a case of it's fallen down from where it was.
Hang on, sorry.
That you go like, whoa, it's that incredible. I look just like the pilot off of Airplane the movie. Yeah, that is effectively how I feel and how it goes. And we will have the opportunity to talk to your race winner overall, GB68, here along with us right now. GB, quite simply put, you're a weather whisperer.
I couldn't believe it. I mean, when the first one came off, I literally had like my whole chat being like, "What are you doing? You're an idiot. Why are you boxing?" And I don't think anyone was. I think I was the only driver to box at that point, and probably it did look a bit crazy. But yeah, then it was a second one, I think, to Slicks, and yeah. It was all things considered from a pace and strategy perspective. I definitely celebrate that win across the line, because that was the best drive yet. I think I was yeah, absolutely cooked in that one. It was really good.
Well, let's talk about Rasin Chai there and that final lap of the race, because by turn 3, seeing him in the mirrors have that massive moment, you must have almost celebrated and crashed in comparison, seeing that sort of mistake nearly come through. How do you keep your composure on what has been such a crazy race?
Yeah, I mean, massive GGs to Razin. Funny enough, I got asked who I enjoy racing the most in Creator Series, and reeled off a few cleanest drivers, and Razin's always up there. He's, unless it's any incidents I've had with Razin is just genuine mistakes on both our behalf. So really good racing from Razin. He put the pressure on right until the end. I think the hard tire was a ballsy call. But luckily, with the wings I was running faster on the straights, was able to hold off Razin. But yeah, I mean, closing stages were tense for sure. Making sure you go through that tight, twisty sector 2 without bumping the left side wall. Yeah, while obviously not losing too much time. So yeah, it was pretty sketchy, pretty tense, but that one felt good.
Austria backwards, Williams LAN, and now Miami. That is 3 straight wins in the Creator Series, no matter which way you put it. You are in a purple patch of form, and with no Alex Gillen here, how critical was it for you to bring the championship gap down to 26?
Yeah, it's a bit of a weird one today. I didn't know what to expect with all the reserves. I mean, what we had, I think 9 reserves in total. So yeah, Goodwood and lots of other things happening this weekend. So yeah, obviously points are crucial. Was really hoping Skies would get some good points in Vince's absence for the constructors too, because I know we're trailing a bit in that. But yeah, I mean, it is the same every week. You don't think about the championship. You just like, we'll try and win each race. And to be honest, I said to you guys, I think last week, in the Austria one, that I'm really surprised because that was my first podium, and the pace has felt really good all game. There's been no like, it's not like in previous rounds I've been miles off. It's just just strategy today and finally coming together. So been feeling good, and I guess see if we can keep the streak up.
Well, we'll wish you the best of luck. GB68 picking up the dub, and we'll have a huge smile from ear to ear managing that. Second position overall would be Razin Chai, and he is talking with Alex Heron.
Razin, I mean, what can we say about that Grand Prix? Missing out on the win by a few tenths of a second, but let's not pretend that you had a little bit of a brown trouser moment on that last lap.
Yeah, I mean, it was very close at the end, but there was a massive brown trouser moment, as you said, in the first sector. Just got a bit eager, took too much curb, cost me around, I think, 2 to 3 attempts. Who knows if that was the deciding factor in the end? We don't know. I think either way, it doesn't matter. The GP deserved that win at the end. Yeah, it's just too fast to the straight, man. I had a little, I think, similar battery at the end with the DRS, just got alongside by him, but, yeah, the inside always covered off. It's always going to be a struggle, but yeah, GG to GB, well deserved.
Yeah, and I mean, just a crazy race from start to finish. Obviously, Inter to dry to Inter to dry. I mean, keeping your head in that. And also the restart as well. Probably an unexpected name to be in second place with Mr. Scotty Designs up there. But you held your own and you made yourself into P2 and almost got the win as well.
I mean, that finishing order says a lot, right? I mean, seeing Scotty Designs up there on the restart, Fabio, Adam in the end, especially Adam had that disconnect. It was a crazy race, and, you want to see those races. Obviously I did make a mistake early in the race, which was unfortunate because, I accidentally misjudged the turn-in when I go side by side with Karim in the Mickey Mouse sector. And obviously, I think I turned in just a bit too much, which unfortunately put him in the wall. And then obviously ended his race. You never want to see that happen to people, which sucks because, for sure he was in the contention for the win. But at the same time, you got to give props to the other guys who finished well up there and, who are almost full out of it and does well. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was a beautiful race indeed, and of course, gaining some more points to the championship with Alex Gillen not being here for probably the next round anyway, from what we've heard. But Razin, you closed the gap to GB as well. You still got a championship fight going on here?
I mean, look, I said from the get-go to me and my teammate Tom, who unfortunately isn't here today for a few races this season, we said we're ignoring the championship. We're going for constructors. As many people know, Tom is stepping down after the season and won't be racing full-time anymore. We want to go for the constructors. If I can pick up these points while he's not here and get us many for the constructors, that's the main goal. Obviously, GB finished ahead of us today, but we still picked up fastest lap and Interspole, so that's 2 additional points to our name. So we take them.
Well, that is lovely stuff indeed. Well, thank you, Razin, for joining us, and I'm sure we'll chat to you next week as well, mate.
Thank you very much, guys.
Awesome. Thank you, Razin. Do we have Mr. No, you know what, Fabio, he got himself a podium and doesn't want to come chat to us. You believe that? Also, I don't know what you heard, Jake. Infratic was the cleanest driver.
Well, he's got that as well. Pure diva.
Yeah, that's pure diva moment there. But we'll hopefully hear from Infratic in a moment. Of course, it is his game, so maybe he's just preparing himself to chat to us. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what to say from that Grand Prix. I don't think GB and Razin knew what to say either. They were as stunned as we were.
I think you can also be so stunned to see Matty D13 in that race and what happened with him there, just being absolutely inconquerable and then getting disqualified like that. It's the biggest modern travesty I think we've ever seen in the Creator Series in history, Alex. Yeah,
I mean, to be honest with you, the Matty D moment I think trumps the 2021 Abu Dhabi. Honestly, I think that's the difference there, and Matty, he'll always be remembered for the moment he led the Miami GP for maybe a corner, and it all fell apart.
It's too much pressure. It just must have been too much pressure to go and deal with. We'll give it about 2 more seconds.
There he
we are
is.
going to bring Fabio into play and have a chat with him, because Fabio, that is a case of a P3 for the 3rd time in your career. It is a wonderful cleanest driver point that you're going to be picking up too. And your teammate led a lap and got disqualified like an absolute G. Talk us through the race.
It's the definition of a Ferrari race. One driver does very well, and the other driver, I think you guys saw what happened. A little bit unexpected. I was not expecting this, especially because I have new pedals. I thought I was going to be off the pace, but seems like I found the right configuration for my pedals, and it was good.
You had a solid performance. It looked like you just weaved and ducked and dodged and never kept yourself in a position of trouble. And then, you know, we saw a lot of decisions having to be made with the safety cars and rain stopping and starting in the middle of the safety cars. How do you keep your head above water with that?
Luckily, so first in the safety car, I went to softs, but then Mark was saying that it was going to start raining, so then I pitted again. Then I tried to stay with the drivers ahead of me, and I struggled in the wet. It's insane. The pace they have is insane. And then in the last safety car, I think it was a safety car when we went to dries, I went to hards while everybody else went to mediums, but I think it was the right call because everybody started dropping behind me, but I couldn't catch the leaders because GB was leading the train and he had the hards as well. So if it wasn't for GB, I might have maybe caught up to them, you know, to Rassen, because Rassen was on mediums. But I'll take it. It's still a podium. It's still a P3 at the end of the day. The 3rd one, cleanest driver, cannot complain. Cannot complain.
Absolutely can't. It's your 2nd podium of the season. You've been talking about how this is your game. This is your series that you want to try and go to the top at. When it's, you know, when it's the way that you've been going about it now, your first half of the season, you obviously make lightning jumps in the championship with the 18 points you pick up. Now, how do you look to gear
19,
up the second half?
Because I got the cleanest driver. It's not. I think it's 19 points, right?
I believe
it's 18 plus 1.
Yes, 18 plus 1.
Perfect.
Sorry about that. I'll give you an extra point because I think you're so nice. 19 points then that you pick up. How do you look to gear up the second half of the season, and where is your end goal now?
I'm not going to be too greedy, but I just want to have a good season. I want to have good results. I always aim to finish within the top 10. A podium is a little bit far-fetched, even though it just happened. I know that it happened today because a lot of the top guys were missing, and I just capitalized on that. So in the next race, when everybody's back, I don't think I'm going to be aiming to a podium. I'm not going to be fighting for a podium, but I'll take it. I'll take it.
Now, you go and enjoy being the P3 meme here today, like Nico Hulkenberg was at the British Grand Prix. You enjoy yourself. Fabio there, emphatic there, picking up a P3 performance here today. Absolutely wonderful stuff to go and see. And Alex, you know, we sit down and say, what more can you do with a series like this? You know what? I'm going to give you a little bit of a nice little freebie. Go talk to Ben.
Talk to Ben. Let's talk about your race quickly before we.
You're gonna podium.
You didn't get podium, but we're changing the rules. We're changing the rules here today. So Ben, you started 6th, then you were running about 11th, then you run as high as 3rd, and then you ran 11th again, and then somehow crossed the line in P5. How did that race go for you?
Bit of a yo-yo effect, really. I had a good start. I felt pretty quick on the inters, so that was nice. Low point for me was probably like pace-wise the hards. Just couldn't really generate the rotation I was looking for on those tires. So that fell backwards a little bit. GB got past me there. So some frustrating moments with the safety car timing. You know, people going all in for inters before the weather. You know, people switching to the next tire before the weather was ready, kind of thing. And I really got caught out with that the second time we were going back to dries. If I would have boxed the same lap as GB, I would have been in that fight for the win. Didn't have the pace to win, but it would have made the second half of the race a lot easier for me. But I racked it a lap too late. Adam jumped me. A bunch of other people jumped me, and I was caught up behind Krim's DNF. Got a 10-second penalty. Yeah, it was just a weird and wacky race, and we fought our way back to the relative front with my teammates. Shout out to Adam for having his best race ever in Creator Series.
Yeah, I mean, the P4 from Adam Sanderson. I mean, literally, if Razin hadn't caught his snap you would have been battling for a P3 at the end of that Grand Prix. So that would have been a very interesting end to that race. But yeah, Ben, obviously, Gillen not here. You gained up some places. His teammate, though, did give him a go to try and beat Gillen 2.0, holding you up for a while. But you got past him in the end. But yeah, good result in the end. And your best result since the opening round, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
It is, yeah. Good. It was a good chance to get some points again today. Still a little bit of pace to find on this game. I think I find a bit rusty. Need to do a few more laps on the game. It was especially rusty this week, but yeah, I'm pretty confident the pace will come. It's just a matter of time.
Awesome, Ben. That's all we need to hear. But thank you very much, mate, for joining us for this special interview that we've decided to pull in for today. But maybe next week you could be on the podium. We'll bring you in for the proper interview
For
section.
real, come on. See you
Let's
next
bring it
week,
in.
guys.
See you, mate. See you. Thank you very much. But yeah, Jake, that will bring the end to our creator series, I believe, for today. But any final words to sum up that race? Because it was mental.
It was. I think the first thing to say is Garrett's at a wedding, so we can do what we want. That's the
True.
first thing we can
Yeah, exactly.
do.
Yeah.
We can do what we want. But the important thing to say is that this was potentially the craziest creator series race you have ever seen. That had everything you wanted and then some. You couldn't ask for a better creator series, and the way that it went, it doesn't matter that 9 people weren't here and we had reserves in. We were put on to a spectacle. We've got Fabio being P3 meme all across the world now for everyone to deal with for eternity. You know, we had a great battle between GB68 and Rasen Chai at the front, which could have gone down even closer to what it was, but it proved to be magical. Adam Sanderson had himself a wonderful run out there today in 4th position. Scotty Designs finished, and now we're going to put ourselves in with a wonderful showcase of racing for the second half of the season. Thank you so much for joining us here with the Creator Series. From Alex Heron, Jake Sperry, this is what Great Sim Racing's about, but the hot hand with 3 race wins in a row, championship and non-championship, is GB68. Who stops him when round 7 comes to view? Well, you have to come back here and find out.